5 days away, Tolos. 5 days away, Diesel, for anything good on TV this Sunday? Anything happening that we need to know about? I don't know if you have plans Sunday, but 5 days away now from the Super Bowl. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Welcome into Wire to Wire. So good to have you with us on this Tuesday edition of the show as we we've done a really good job, Diesel, of not getting too much into the weeds over the last 6 days. To pull the curtain back, a lot of Tolos don't realize.
Long time to go before the game is played.
Yeah, you can burn through the content pretty quick if you're not careful. If we would have started talking about this last Monday, by now, you and I would look at each other like, oh, my God.
I am tired of hearing you talk about this.
What else is there to cover when it comes to the Super Bowl on Sunday? So that's where we're going to go. That's where we're going to get into the weeds, hop in the weeds with us to start the show today. A big show coming your way. Diesel's going to tell you how much money has been gambled on the Super Bowl in the very next segment. We're going to have some audio from Jay Williams at 3:45 making a pretty bold statement about Cooper Flagg. Derrian Carter of the Greenville News to talk Clemson basketball, 4 p.m., Also, 4:45 Daily Wires, audio presser from last night. And then Diesel, the much-anticipated Tolo requested segment at 5:20. You Tolos asked for this yesterday. What is the old saying? You ask and you receive. Tell us what's coming up at 5:20 because it's going to make you hungry.
Yeah, we're going to put together a bracket call of the ultimate Super Bowl dishes. Today, we're going to take your submissions. We're going to go for a 16-dish bracket broken down from appetizers, main courses, side dishes, and desserts. And then we're going to play this thing off over the next 3 days, starting tomorrow, as you and I are going to be live at Ingles Market.
I'm already hungry thinking about it. And as you all know, if you're going to, go all out for your Super Bowl party, you need to do it at Ingles. Speaking of Ingles, tomorrow we'll be at the Ingles on Asheville Highway in Boiling Springs. It's the Springfield location, as you locals call it, but that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm already hungry thinking about it. But let's get into the weeds.
Is that the Springfield where they were up there eating the dogs? Eating the cats?
Different
Springfield.
Different.
Where Homer lives?
They may do that. I'm not saying they don't eat the dogs, but I'm just saying it's a different one.
Not to cast aspersions on the fine folks of Springfield, South Carolina.
It's a weird spot because it's between Boiling Springs and Spartanburg, so it's always
Shouldn't it be Springburg?
Or Boilingburger, Spartan Springs. Is that right? Is that where it needs to be? Tolos, hit us up from Spartanburg, Greenville, wherever you may be listening. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-3263-663. Phone with an F. Let's get in the weeds on this Super Bowl. I want to hear from you, Tolos, as well. I want to start with the question, though, of what we think will dictate the outcome of the Super Bowl on Sunday. And that's where I want to start. I want to hear your answers, Tolo, as well as Diesel, on what we think, what we're feeling in terms of what player, what position group could possibly dictate the outcome of the Super Bowl on Sunday. And I will start, Diesel. I will give my nomination to a position group that I think is very under talked about. What do you call it? They're
undervalued.
Undervalued. Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Sold short.
We don't talk about them enough. And I said this after the AFC Championship. I think Spagnuolo has done such a good job with that Kansas City defense, Diesel. I think when you talk about Patrick Mahomes, we all know what Patrick Mahomes can do. We all know what Saquon Barkley can do. But if I were to start the conversation and answer my own question by giving you the position or position group on who I think will dictate the outcome of the Super Bowl, I'd say the Kansas City Chiefs defense, in my mind, will be the position group that will or can, if they play well, dictate the outcome. I just don't think they're given enough credit. I don't think Spagnuolo is given enough credit when it comes to just how good Kansas City's defense has been, Diesel.
No, you're right. I mean, Kansas City has not been as explosive this year offensively as they have been in years past.
No.
So when that happens, you can still win a lot of football games if you can lean on a powerful defense, and Kansas City certainly has that. Cole, by the way, we didn't talk about this. Not a single Tolo asked us to talk about this, but you did realize that the Pro Bowl was a couple of days ago, right?
The what?
The Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl.
What is the Pro?
What do they do in that?
What do they do in the Pro Bowl? Could you take a wild guess since you didn't watch it? I didn't watch it. None of the Tolos watched it.
So let me admit, I had it on.
What was the final score?
72-68, something like
You're
that.
close. 76-63.
I had it on.
What? I mean, how are they even scoring points?
I don't know.
Was anybody was this played like a legitimate football game, or was this like Rock and Jock, where if you caught it on a certain spot, you could get extra points?
It was a flag football game.
What the heck was going on out there?
Again, if I said Diesel I watched, that might be a little bit of a stretch because it was on the TV back there, but I don't know how much watching I did.
I genuinely didn't know that it was happening.
Yeah.
When it was happening. I didn't know.
It's a joke. It's a complete joke. It is a joke, and hopefully we can fix it. I don't know.
I went outside and went for a walk.
Well, that was probably better for you.
Yeah,
number one.
For my mental health and my physical health. Cole, if I'm going to look at a position group that I think is going to be the decision maker, deciding factor in this game, I'm clearly looking at the running back position because what does Kansas City have that's going to stop Saquon Barkley? And by comparison, on the other side of the football of him, you've got Kareem Hunt, who is a fine running back, but his numbers just aren't there when you compare them side by side with Saquon Barkley this year. Saquon basically doubles him up in every single category.
Yeah,
almost doubles him up in rushing attempts, more than doubles him up in yards, and almost doubles him up in touchdowns. Saquon Barkley is unstoppable.
I knew Saquon's stats were off the charts, Diesel. I didn't know he almost doubled him up in every That's wild. So yeah. I'm with you. The running game for Philadelphia is what's gotten him here. I do like that answer. Kareem Hunt's a good running back. He's a really good running back. However, Diesel going off of the running game a little bit. When you talk about Kareem Hunt, I think Philadelphia's defense, especially their defensive line, they're big, they're bulky. They're gonna, in my opinion, have a lot to do with the running game of the Kansas City Chiefs. Two running backs that are good running backs, but let's call it like it is here. Saquon Barkley's been extraordinaire.
Incredible. All I need is for Kareem Hunt to get 1 yard. That's all I need in my underdog picks.
You need him.
I need him to score a touchdown.
I
need him to score a touchdown.
Okay.
So if he can get 1 yard from the one, that's all I need. He can get hurt and not play the rest of the game for all I care.
1 single yard is what Diesel says. So, again, Tolos, if you just tuned into the show, he's Diesel, I'm Cole Bryce, and that's what I want to know from you. Which position group on Sunday do you feel like could dictate the outcome of this football game? I say I think Kansas City's defense will be able to. If they perform like they have, they'll be able to dictate the outcome. Diesel says the running back position. Mad Therapy on YouTube says more specifically, Cole, the linebacker position group has been insane. Talking about for Kansas City. Matt also says, Diesel, to your Barkley point, Barkley will have a decent day, I'm sure, but he'll struggle. Brian Pettit. Good to see you, Brian Pettit, as well. They had competition skills during the game. Yeah, it was boring. That's a fascinating point, though, by Madcraft. Barkley's numbers, to your point, what the numbers that you brought up about Saquon Barkley, Diesel, are completely bogus. They're off the like bogus in a good way. They're off the charts on the incredible season that Saquon Barkley has had in a game where everything slowed down. Because we all know when the Super Bowl happens, Diesel, the game slows down a little bit. You don't have the crowd noise like you do in the AFC Championship game or the divisional round even. Because it's more of a wine and cheese crowd, right? Your average fans can't buy a ticket to the Super Bowl. Does the game slowing down, does the big stage favor the defense over the running game? I think it might. I think it very well might favor the defense, and that's why I'm really leaning on – I haven't made my pick yet, but I'm really leaning on Kansas City's defense being a factor in this one.
I just wonder how much
what you mean.
experience is gonna come into play with this. And it's the same adage that I was making when we were talking about making picks in the championship round. You don't bet against a team that has as much experience in these moments as Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is unflappable. He knows how to draw the fouls from the referees in the biggest situations. It's not like he just gets calls, Cole. He knows how to get them in the most opportune moments for the Chiefs.
Sure.
And that's just playing a different level of football. I think I recorded it in my sports spin on Monday of last week that Patrick Mahomes is out here playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. And people can get mad and get butthurt that Patrick Mahomes gets all these calls, but he's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
He knows what to do.
What do you want him to do? Do you want him to dumb it down because everybody else is too dumb to know how to play the same game?
I think it's fascinating, man, when you look at this matchup. And again, we'll get super deep in the weeds as the days come on, or as the days go on, rather. But I agree with you on the experience side. But at the end of the day, when you have a guy as explosive as Saquon Barkley, man, and you got a guy like Jalen Hurts, who I think does have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder from a Super Bowl 2 years ago where he played really well, but they couldn't get the job done, Diesel, in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Right now, today, I think I'm leaning Eagles a little bit. I'm leaning Eagles by 0.1%, but I just think at the end of the day, Spagnuolo will have something dialed up, not to completely shut Saquon Barkley down, but, man, I trust Spagnuolo. I really do. Tolos, what do you say? 844-FAN phone. Dewey wants to weigh in, which you can do at 844-326-3663. What's on your mind, Dewey?
Yes. First of all, I'm glad y'all ain't talking about Luka Doncic anymore. He's a bunch of crap. Secondly, I'm going to keep it simple. We all know Philadelphia's not going to put up 50 points on the Chiefs. There's been talk about that, but it's not going to happen. The Chiefs aren't Washington. Washington sucks. I think it's going to be a middle range scoring game, probably 28-25 Chiefs.
28. Are you on your crotch rocket, by the way, Dewey? It sounds like it.
Yes.
Thanks for the call, Dewey.
Do we think Dewey could even get a motorcycle license? I'm pretty sure
you don't have
he's
to have
riding
one for a crotch rocket, do you?
Yeah.
For a crotch rocket?
You mean?
I said crotch rocket. I didn't.
You mean a liquor sickle?
Liquor sickle is what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I thought you were going to ask him if he was on a hobby horse outside of a grocery store.
I did say crotch rocket. You're right. Whiskey sickle. You don't have to have one for a whiskey sickle, do you?
No. You don't have to have one of those.
Sorry, Dewey. I meant to ask you if you're on your whiskey.
Let's be real. I've never gotten a DUI. I've never ridden one because that's all I could ride. But let's be real. Vespas are fun to drive around. Scooters are fun to drive.
Yeah, they are. They are. Thanks for the call, Dewey. Here's what's interesting.
When casting aspersions.
I know. I'm sorry. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is in his first season with Philadelphia. We know that Spagnuolo has experience. You brought up experience. He's been there. He knows what it takes. Both teams have been to the Super Bowl, so they both have that experience. But when you talk about knowing what it takes to win every play, I go back to the Buffalo game, Diesel, and I think we're in a similar situation here. When you and I came on the air the day after the Buffalo Chiefs game, I said that Buffalo, during the course of the game, could not capitalize on the moments needed to extend drives or get off the field in order to win the game, right? You can pick like 4 to 5 moments in the course of a game where you have to win those moments. You have to win those battles in order to win the war, right? Buffalo didn't win any of those during that game, and Kansas City did. If you split 50-50, maybe things go a different way. Buffalo could not win the battles within the war. I think that's a big factor for me when you talk about, which position's gonna dictate the outcome. Who can win the battles, Diesel, in the trenches when somebody has to jump on the football, right? When the football is loose, who can win those small battles? I think that will also dictate the outcome of the game, because you cannot give Kansas City so many opportunities on a silver platter like Buffalo has. You've got to be the aggressor. You've got to be the one and go take the bull by the horns. Is Philadelphia built for that?
So if you're Philly, would you and you won the toss, would you take the opening kickoff? Like, I need to go down and score now. I need to go out. I
always think about that
right now. Get the lead 7-0. Start putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes immediately.
I think I would lean that way. I always like thinking about that with a coin toss. Like, if you do win the toss, what are you going to do? Now, here, granted, Patrick Mahomes eats pressure like candy, right? So how much pressure? I think you do. I think if you're Philadelphia, you have to be the aggressor, Diesel, from the time the opening whistle blows till that clock hits zero. Because what was it, a couple of years ago in the AFC Championship game, Buffalo left them, 16 seconds? And they went down and kicked the field goal for overtime and won the game and went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it feels like if you're Philly, you gotta be super aggressive. Go for it on 4th and short a lot, probably more than you otherwise would, because you cannot afford to leave points on the board. If you're anywhere around the 50, go for it.
Yeah,
because we know that Patrick Mahomes in this offense for the Chiefs can score from anywhere. You can give them the ball with 30 seconds left on their own 20, and they're going to go 80 yards and pick up a field goal at least, right? Or pick up a touchdown. So it feels like you have to make every single possession that you possibly can turn into points.
Yeah.
I think these Eagles need to score minimum 30 points to have a chance to win this game.
Do you feel as if it is a disadvantage, and Kane, good to see you in the chat as well. Do you feel as if, Diesel, it's a disadvantage for Philadelphia in the sense that they have a first-year defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, first-year offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, Saquon Barkley new to the Eagles? Even though this team has been there 2 years ago, there's still some newness on this team. There's not any newness on the Chiefs.
And it feels like you could, potentially make the argument that, there may be just a tiny little bit of togetherness lacking from the Philadelphia Eagles. And I mean, they got here to 14-3 by playing well as a team, right? These guys are all professionals, but you're right. I mean, there's got to be a little something to keeping a team together as long as possible. I mean, you look back in the 90s and the early 2000s when Kentucky was running a bunch of one and dones out there, but Duke was throwing a bunch of seniors at them, and Duke would win those basketball games. There's certainly something to having the trust in your players, the other guys that are around you on the field, trusting in Patrick, knowing what coaching staff is going to do, and vice versa. I mean, it can't do anything but help.
We're going to dive back into the Super Bowl in a little bit, Diesel, but the last thing I wanted to say, what I wanted to end with, and I meant to bring this up yesterday, but I forgot. I'm pulling for the Eagles, right? I'm pulling, and that by the way, that pains me to say as a Cowboys fan, but DeAndre Hopkins from right here in the upstate, who went to Daniel High School and played college football at Clemson, he's making it hard. I don't know if you saw this tweet, and for Tolos out there that have not seen this tweet from D-Hop, he's making it really hard on a guy like me not to pull for him. Here's what he said yesterday, Diesel. DeAndre Hopkins, who's obviously, as we all know, been around the league for a little while and been in a couple of different spots, tweets out, to all the kids out there living in small towns and small houses with single parents, to the kids who see violence, who see loss, who don't get the resources they deserve, but who still have big dreams. Know that I was a kid in your exact shoes, and this week I'm playing in the Super Bowl. Don't give up, work hard, keep believing. Where you start doesn't determine where you end up. If you don't have goosebumps, something might be wrong with you. How do you not pull for a guy like that? Is that not powerful, man?
Yeah.
I mean, what a freaking look. I love DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, because he's right here in the upstate and from the upstate, but it makes it hard not to pull for a guy like that. Just that doesn't lose sight of where he came from. To put something out like that, man, that's now I'm in a little bit of a pickle, Diesel, but I think I'm still pulling for the Eagles.
Okay, I thought you were going to say you're in a little bit of a pickle because you're trying to choke back the tears.
Well, I really was. That was I don't know, man. DeAndre Hopkins, to put that out there, that meant a lot.
Tolos, we're going to get back to the Super Bowl conversation at 4:20, but when we come back on the other side of the break, something Super Bowl adjacent. I want to know from you, Tolos, if you are a gambler, What's the most you've ever gambled on one play, one hand, one bet, whatever it may be? And I'll tell you just how much stinking money is being wagered on the Super Bowl this year. That's coming up next on the Fan Upstate. A texter asks at 844-FAN-PHONE. By the way, you can text and call now at 844-326-3663. If you got that old 5-digit number, go ahead and delete it from your phone. 844-FAN-PHONE, that's phone with an F, is now the number to text and to call in to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson and the Rob Brown Show, of course. But a texter wants to know, are y'all doing a Super Bowl prop bets contest or anything like that? Well, we did that for the championship round, and it failed miserably. Texter. We had
You failed miserably.
Well,
you told us.
Well, yeah. Well, I was part of the failure. Okay. So like, when we're doing that, the fun was get as many people picking as we could possibly get. And this particular app that I use, that I'm endorsing, Underdog, allows a max of eight projection picks. And we maxed it out. We did all 8. The problem was, Cole, that 5 of us got our picks wrong. And I lost everything.
No bueno.
I mean, it was $10. So it was $10, but still, it didn't go well last time, texter. So I don't know if we're going to do it again this time. But if it's something you guys want to do, then we can certainly set it up. Maybe do it on Friday. If you guys really want to do it, you let me know. 844-326-3663. But I appreciate you, Tolo, whoever you are, who didn't put your name on your text, for leading us into this segment. This is awesome. Americans are expected to wager a record $1.39 billion legally on the Super Bowl. Now, that's the operative word. Legal wagering on the Super Bowl, because the actual number, Cole, is staggering. It's like the GDP of a small country. It's ridiculous.
So I don't know if this information's out there or not. I would love to know, Diesel, how much was bet by the time the Super Bowl kicks off Sunday. How much was bet legally? How much was bet illegally? I don't know if you can find those numbers, but that'd be intriguing.
So I'm trying to find here, Cole, and maybe you can help me out while searching this while I'm going through this. I'm trying to figure out what country had a GDP equivalent to what Americans wagered on the Super Bowl last year. So I told you that the number is 1.4 roughly billion dollars expected to be wagered legally this year. They expect all in combined, and this is a methodology of using legal wagering, illegal channels, pools, squares, casual wagers amongst friends.
Yeah.
They are anticipating $23 billion worth of money wagered on the Super Bowl this year. So think about that. 23 total, 1.4 of it legal. So these legal, betting options, DraftKings, fantasy, FanDuel, Underdog Fantasy, all of them, they are getting a lot of money, but it's kind of a drop in the bucket compared to how much total is spent.
And that's billion with a B.
Yeah, billion with a B.
Not million.
Nope, no millions, billions.
Billion.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredibly insane, first of all. It doesn't surprise me. I will say this. For all the people out there who say, we're tired of seeing the same Super Bowl or the same team, there's no other sporting event, Diesel, in the world that gets this much money bet on it. Nothing. It doesn't matter. And it just shows that this is the one event in the course of the 365-day calendar that everybody watches.
Okay, I found it. I found the numbers. This is GDP by country around the world, estimating $23 billion spent wagered on the Super Bowl this year. That is equivalent to the GDP of the United Nations of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Did you even realize that was a country?
Bosnia?
Bosnia,
I've heard of.
But it's Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Herzegovina?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
It puts it in range of Trinidad and Tobago, Iceland, Senegal. They all produce $27 billion worth of GDP. Georgia, not the state, the country, $24 billion. Bosnia-Herzegovina, $24 billion. Macau, $22 billion. Guinea, Gabon, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Haiti, Think about that.
That's insane.
We are spending the GDP of Haiti plus $3 more billion gambling on a game.
That is insane,
What?
man. There's no way. Which is just crazy to think about. But sadly, it's sad to say it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise you. But it just shows that there's so much money that's willing to be risked. Now, I find that number fascinating, but I really love when it comes to the Super Bowl and any other games, Diesel, especially big games like the AFC and NFC Championship, I want to know after the fact, not before the fact. I want to know after the fact if Vegas won or lost, meaning Vegas versus the public, because in the NFC Championship, the fact that game went over, I was reading an article that said Vegas desperately, and I mean desperately, needed that game to go over or the public would have won. That'll be intriguing to see when it's all said and done and the game's over. You know as well as I do, Vegas don't like losing. Don't like losing. Vegas doesn't lose often. I mean, the whole thing is set up to take your money. The whole thing is set up for them to be profitable and for you to lose money. I mean, still though, they would have lost a ton of money. So here's my question for you, Tolos. Like, Cole, I know you do a little bit of wagering on the side. Texter says it's Hurts no Govina. No, it's not. It's not Hurts no Govina. Stop it, Texter. You're trying to trip me up. That's not right. Patolo said it. It's definitely right.
Texter Corn Chip says GA championship there this year. Not sure what you mean by
GA champion. What is he talking about?
I don't know.
He was asking me a question unrelated to the.
Oh, okay. So,
I'll text back.
I don't wager big money. I don't know what anybody considers big money. I think the biggest wager I've placed so far with Underdog Fantasy has been $10. Like I don't go hard because I don't have it like that, right? I'm not throwing down $50, $100, $200 bets. I'm not doing that. $5-10 a pop. That's all I'm willing to do. But I want to know from you, Tolos, what's the most you've ever wagered, whether it be on gambling on sports or a wager with your buddies? Like back in the day, people used to race for pink slips, and you were wagering your car. That's a considerable amount of money. DB,
wagering your car.
Wow. Dan B says he lost $900 in one hand of poker once.
That's a lot.
That I would go home and cry.
That's a lot.
I would go home and cry. $900 is a ton of money to me. That's a ton.
It's a lot of money.
$100 is a ton of money to me.
It is.
I don't like losing $20. I don't like losing $10.
And the deal with poker is, like, if you were going to bet on a game, you would maybe know. Like this, I don't know. I don't play poker. I don't know how poker works, but that's a lot. I don't know if that'll be beat or not.
What's the most you've ever wagered? No, you have to answer the question, Cole. I'm new to this and I'm sharing. Okay, sharing is caring. If you care about this show, you have to share. One hand, most you've ever one hand, one game, one whatever. One parlay.
I just don't want to.
It's okay. Do you want to mouth the words? Do you want to put your hand over?
I'll tell you. I don't mind telling you. I just
if you tell me, I'm going to tell them. That's how this works. Come on, Cole.
Take a guess.
$1,000. High or low?
High.
That's high?
Yeah.
So 500.
Close.
Okay.
Close.
Okay. I'm not gonna put you on the spot.
And I can't remember, but
you do. You remember exactly what it was. What did you stand to win had you won the bet?
I think it was pretty even. I think it was pretty close to it. I just can't. Right. Here's the deal. I really, honestly, I can't remember exactly what game it was. I've never lost like big, but I know a lot of people that have.
Well, there's people who get in deep, who will gamble away. I can't fathom the person who gambles away their rent check. Like I got this tip. I got this sure thing that this horse is going to win. So I'm going to put my rent down on it. The hell is wrong with you people? That's a lot.
That's too much. Let's see. DB says I won 300 on Denver versus New Orleans once as well. That's a big win.
Wow.
But you know what's crazy though? When you and I talk about these big bets, to hear people who are filthy rich talk about how much they put on. I mean, It's nothing for Dave Portnoy to drop $1 million on Michigan.
Right. Well, you remember that scuttlebutt, a couple of years ago that of just how deep Phil Mickelson was in gambling, like how much he gambled away, how much Michael Jordan gambled away. Yeah. I mean, if you believe the stories, how much Ipe Mizuhara had to steal from Shohei to cover his gambling debts, $75 million. Come on. That's ludicrous.
Texter says, this comes from JD. JD says, I had a guy keep playing me double or nothing in cornhole, and I ended up winning 200 off of him. It's a good night playing cornhole there.
There you go.
Also, texter from the 803, I had a futures bet that would have won me $4,000 on the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl during the famous game versus the Patriots. Yeah, Marshawn. I'll never forgive them for. Yeah, I'm with you. Texter says it. I'll never forgive them for not running.
Oh man,
you shouldn't forgive them. That's futures bet that would have won $4,000.
That's what's funny, Cole. And I called you out on it. We talked about this a week or so ago. I think it was with the college football national championship game. No, it was the Penn State game, Penn State Notre Dame. And you said, the heck are you doing running the ball up the gut, pitch it to the outside? Contrary to that, you keep bagging on the Seahawks for not running it up the gut with
the
Marshawn
college
Lynch.
Football game wasn't on the goal line. The college football game was in the middle of the field. That's a totally different play call.
Wow.
Middle of the field compared to Marshawn Lynch. If you're at the goal line versus the 50, that's a totally different story. JB on the YouTube stream says, Tolo. JB, what's up? That means turn it on, leave it on. I don't know. That 4,000 futures bet, that might be.
That hurts.
That just hurts. Think. So what was, Texter, you might have to answer the question here. For the Seahawks to have won the Super Bowl that year, the odds were that low?
What did you put on it to make a payout $4,000?
That's crazy. Texter says MLB fired an umpire yesterday. Holberg, I think his name was. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Not a good look. I think it was also in the Daily Wires as well.
We have now, Cole, 38 states plus Washington, D.C., plus Puerto Rico that sports betting is now legal in. North Carolina was the only state that added last year. Missouri is set to add this year. So summer 2025, sports betting will be legal in the state of Missouri. So that'll be 39 states. Of course, South Carolina is one of the last 11 to get legalized sports betting.
I think it'll probably be
dead last.
I'd say in the bottom five.
Bottom five?
Yeah. There's 11 now, you say?
There's 11. Yeah. Well, like I said, 11 and a half because Missouri doesn't have it yet, but it will by middle of this year.
Isn't that crazy? Only 11 left. I would not have guessed that if you would have told me.
JB says, I don't understand why South Carolina will not pass sports betting. Because we live in the Bible Belt, JB.
Well, no, the real answer is it's because of the lottery. That's anytime they've ever had the
you telling me none of those other states?
No, they do. Georgia has. So Georgia has the lottery, and the real push for it, as I was trying to say, has always been to match what Georgia does with the lottery. And anytime it tries to get pushed, they say, "Oh, well, we can't do it with the lottery." They use the lottery as an excuse.
So listen to this load of horse manure. You remember in Back to the Future 2, I think it was? I think they might have done it in all three. The gag was a running gag when they kept like pouring horse manure into Biff's car.
Yeah.
Listen to this carload of horse manure from the American Gambling Association CEO, Bill Miller, who says that the $1.4 billion figure of legal bets underscores the positive impact of the legal market, from protecting consumers to generating tax revenue that benefits communities across the country. What a load of bunk.
Wow.
We're benefiting communities by allowing sports betting. Last year, by the way, the number was $1.25 billion. So I'm not a mathematician here, but that's about $150 million increase on legal sports betting.
I'll tell you also one other number before we run that I'd like to know. What percentage, Diesel, when you talk about people who gamble on the Super Bowl, what percentage of those people never gamble on sports any other time other than the Super Bowl, right? Gamble. I mean, hey, it's the Super Bowl. You want to place $50? Let's place $50. I think there would be a lot, wouldn't you? I feel like there'd be a lot of people who play the Super Bowl for the first time.
Yeah, there's probably people playing for the first time. Yes, of course. But making that like one of the only events they bet on every year, I'd say that number's fairly decent. I mean, not everybody's going to bet $5-10 a night on NBA, right? I mean, it's betting NBA is hard.
It is.
It's hard. It's the only thing I win on for some reason, but it's still hard.
It is tough. Betting in general is tough. Newsflash.
Yeah.
As if you try it, you'll find out quickly.
The thing is, some people dedicate their lives to this.
I do.
And they still lose more than they win. It's set up that way.
Good.
No. I mean, like, we have BetQL, the show that comes on after us. You telling me those guys are rolling in money? No, if they were just insanely great sports gamblers, they would quit the show and go live on an island and ride around in a gold-plated boat.
That's true. Coming up next, Jay Williams made a bold statement on Cooper Flagg. Is Cooper Flagg living up to the hype enough for what Jay Williams says to be accurate? I like Cooper Flagg a lot, but this is a bold statement by Jay Williams. We'll have that for you next. There have been, Diesel, quite the freshmen to come through Duke and play basketball for the Blue Devils. Zion Williamson from right here in the upstate, Marvin Bagley III, R.J. Barrett, Jabari Parker, you name whoever you'd like. There have been some freshmen stud players in general to come through Duke. Want to react to this audio from Jay Williams on just how good Cooper Flagg may be at Duke.
I think Cooper is the most complete and skilled freshman in Duke basketball history. Think about that. I'm saying that with my jersey in the rafters. I've seen the likes of Paolo Banchero. I've seen Zion Williamson. I've seen Grant Hill. Duke has been very fortunate to have some pretty incredible freshmen play basketball here. Even Kyrie Irving, who probably was the most skilled up until this point, even though he played 11 games. But defensively, offensively, mindset-wise, he has not only exceeded expectations, he's in a rarefied air by himself at a program that is in a rarefied air by themselves.
Well, that's bold, first of all.
I totally forgot that Kyrie played at Duke.
He did. And that's what I'm saying. Wow. Like, you've got guys who date all the way back to the 70s. Gene Banks, Paolo Banchero. I mean, there have been unbelievable basketball players, Brandon Ingram, to come through Duke. And Cooper Flagg, will we ever know how good he is in college from one season? Maybe not. That's my problem, right? Let's let him have 2 seasons. But to your point that you brought up yesterday, Diesel, it's one and done. We'll get to see him in this tournament. All eyes will be on him this tournament, and he'll have the biggest stage of anybody. But we really, it's sad that you only get 1 season to gauge how good a college basketball player will be.
You know, this guy could have ended up being a household name just by playing at Duke, and like, do guys not even care about going into a college Hall of Fame anymore? Ring of Honor. Think about this, Cole. Ring of Honor celebrations are going to get few and far between in the future of a lot of these schools because nobody's been around long enough to even deserve to be in the Ring of Honor.
Do they even know what the Ring of Honor is?
They don't care.
They care.
I think they know, but they don't care. They're like, oh, look at that. Some names on the rafters. Don't care.
T-Swizzle says, tough decision. Zion was tough, though ain't going to lie. I'm not telling you. It's a tough conversation because Zion was really good.
Zion, if he'd played all 4, would still be in college, right? How long has he been in the NBA?
I want to guess this is year 4 in the NBA. I'm going to guess, and you're looking online.
So January 2020 is when he made his debut for the Pelicans. So yeah, he would be out. He would be out.
He'd be out by what, a year?
By a year.
Last year would have been a senior. Is that crazy to think about?
Think about if they had gone from Zion Williamson directly to Cooper Flagg.
God, that'd been nuts. And how many championships would they have?
Right. Twizzle says Zion's the only dude I know to blow out a shoe like that. Why do people talk about it like that's a big deal?
It's
a shot. I mean, I remember it happening. But it's like, all right, is it because he's so huge and he planted so hard, or is it just a shoddy shoe? They
don't have shoddy shoes at Duke, do they? That'd be the last place.
I mean, when it's a little kid in a sweatshop in Bangladesh making them, are you telling me that every single stitch is poured over with care?
Bangladesh on the chopping block today. I like it.
When we come back on the other side of the break, we go right here to our local sports reporter, Derrian Carter of the Greenville News, to talk about Clemson basketball. We'll get a local perspective next on the Fan Upstate. Clemson off to an 18-4 start. Excellent run for them to get the season going. Second in the ACC. To talk about it, we bring on the expert, Derrian Carter. He is the Clemson beat writer for the Greenville News. Look him up at Derrian, Derrian, Carter 00 on Twitter. For the first time, welcome to the show, Derrian. You know, we've had sitting Division I head coaches on this show before here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson, and they tell us nowadays it's not really that you win, it's how much you win by. So my question for you is, how is the AP looking at Clemson winning its last 10 games by an average of 10 points? And yes, that includes the 10-point loss to Louisville back on January 7th, and saying that just isn't good enough.
It's interesting, just because some of the teams that's ahead of them are some of those SEC teams who to those pollsters, they may feel they're playing a tougher schedule than Clemson. I believe Ole Miss was ranked ahead of them, and there was another SEC team ranked ahead of Clemson as well. So it's just they're looking at quality of competition. Compare SEC to ACC. The comparison this year, ACC rank-wise isn't as tough as SEC, so that could be a reason why Clemson isn't ranked in the AP poll. But they are one spot away. They would technically be ranked number 26 in the AP poll if they were to extend the poll.
I'll tell you what, man, it's quite fascinating. And Derrian, Diesel and I talked about it a good bit yesterday. Do you think the committee or whoever makes the AP poll, the voters, do you think they look at Clemson's resume and just say simply Clemson hasn't done enough?
That potentially could be a thing, but when you do assess Clemson's especially their non-conference schedule, they beat Kentucky, who was ranked in the top 5 at the time. They lost the double overtime game to Memphis, who was ranked in the top 25. So in terms of their analysis, maybe they're looking at those were earlier in the season, and they're just comparing to Clemson's recent success. It hasn't come against many ranked teams. You mentioned the Louisville loss. They were ranked at the time, I believe, but now they fell out of it. So it has to be recency more rather than their non-conference, their entire schedule, their resume so far.
You know, Derrian, I've seen a handful of conferences do this. I know for a fact the Sun Belt does, and there's other ones as well that will put together, you know, a mid-season, early season, and then mid-season head-to-head challenge between teams in their conferences. As the ACC has kind of fallen off across the board and it's not getting a whole lot of love in the rankings, it almost feels like that would be a viable path for the ACC to take. Maybe to team up with the Big Ten, with the American Athletic or the Big East, to say, okay, our one is going to play your one, our two is going to play your two down the stretch, considering the fact that ACC teams now aren't getting a whole lot of opportunities to play ranked teams in season.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I know for the past 2 seasons there has been an SEC and ACC challenge, and I believe ACC teams only won 2 of those games, and Clemson being one of them, beating Kentucky. So maybe potentially having a more out-of-conference play between across the entire conference in its entirety could be something that could help boost the ACC's outlook in terms of the country.
Derrian Carter of the Greenville News joining us right here on the Fan Upstate, as Diesel said, for the first time. Derrian, since it is your first time, help us in the Upstate get familiar with you. Obviously, we're going to encourage our Tolos out there, our audience, to give you a follow on X. Give us a little background, though. Where are you from? How long have you been in the Upstate? And then I'll throw one more at you. What's your, so far, your favorite thing about the Upstate?
Awesome. So I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. My family, I moved there after Hurricane Katrina. Undergrad, I went to Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, and I received my master's degree at Arizona State University at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. And I got here in the Upstate last January. I started on January 29th in the middle of the Clemson basketball season. So it's been a 365 plus days for me here. And the best thing about the Upstate so far to me, it's a good question. I would say just the Clemson's campus. And for my undergrad, it was kind of like a smaller campus, and for my master's degree, the journalism school was just in downtown Phoenix. So visiting Clemson is much kind of a larger campus compared to those 2 places where I was at. So I definitely say the campus, seeing Memorial Stadium, Little John Coliseum, just walking around those throughout this past year has been pretty surreal for me.
So, Derrian, would you say, and this is something that Clemson fans love to point out, they love to point out the special family feeling of being on campus there at Clemson. I want your honest opinion here. Would you say that you felt that in your time on Clemson's campus, or is it maybe just a little bit of marketing hype?
No, I could definitely say there's been like a family feel. So for the football games, for example, I walked by a couple of like the people tailgating for the game, and some of them kind of invited me to come over and just to introduce myself and things like that, trying to get to know them, what I do, and like just watching some of the pregame stuff. So I definitely think this definitely is a family attitude, even from the Clemson athletic department. They've been really helpful with me throughout my time here, and even to the local writers, national writers, beat writers, TV sports directors as well. They've been extremely nice, extremely helpful, and just kind of welcome me with open arms here.
Yeah, those radio guys have got to be better. Those radio guys aren't any good. Derrian, speaking of Clemson athletic department, something fascinating that Ross Taylor tweeted out yesterday, and I'm sure you've seen this already, with the news that Florida State head coach Leonard Hamilton plans to step down after the season. Ross Taylor tweeted out, Clemson would then enter the 2025-2026 academic athletic year with the ACC's longest tenured head coach in both football and men's basketball. I know you haven't been in the upstate for a long time, Derrian, but for a guy in Brad Brownell who has had some pressure on him in years past, what do you make of that tweet from Ross Taylor?
I think it just speaks to Coach Brad Brownell's his philosophy and his will to keep going. As you mentioned, he did receive pressure, especially the year, I believe 2 seasons ago, when they missed the NCAA tournament, and then they rebounded from that last season to make the March Madness, to reach the Elite Eight for the first time in 44 years. And now he carried over that success from last season and was entering this season with the 18-4 start, bringing back Chase Hunter, who's having an exceptional season, adding in those transfer players that kind of complement him, and Ian Shefflin and Chauncey Wiggins. So kind of speaks to his will, determination, and now he'll be the elder statesman of the ACC next season with Hamilton stepping down.
Derrian, what do you think it is that Chase Hunter isn't getting as much of the national attention among guards as he deserves? I mean, his numbers are right there on par, scoring 17.2 a game and 49% from the field. He's right there on par with Dylan Hunter out of Rutgers. He's right there on par with Mark Sears at Alabama, and those guys get a lot of love. Why do you think it is that Chase isn't getting the attention? And in your mind, does he like it that way? Does he like sort of flying under the radar?
I think he kind of embraces that the quiet mindset, but at the same time, it's the balance, trying to have that chip on your shoulder to kind of prove those people wrong, prove the notoriety wrong. And I also think there's a fact of it kind of just being Clemson. Historically, Clemson hasn't been a basketball powerhouse compared to maybe Rutgers, Duke, North Carolina. But the good thing for Chase Hunter and Clemson coming up after tonight's game against Georgia Tech, they'll face Duke, and it'll be a number 2 match at Little John Coliseum. They'll play North Carolina on next Monday. And then the March Madness tournament, if Chase Hunter can repeat that success what he had last season and do it again for Clemson and for this season's tournament, it can bode well for him, his NBA draft stock, and for the Clemson program as a whole.
You mentioned the game tonight, Derrian, against Georgia Tech. We'll get into that. I have a couple of other Clemson basketball questions for you. But a little bit of a format breaker here midway through the interview. Diesel and I later in the show at 5:20, I believe, are doing probably the most important segment in sports radio history, as we are answering the call of our audience yesterday. They asked us to formulate a 16-team bracket, if you will, of the GOAT Super Bowl dish candidates. So, sides, appetizers, cocktail weenies, whatever it may be. In your mind, if you were going to, and you may be going to a Super Bowl party on Sunday night, what is the non-negotiable? What's the one thing that Derrian Carter of the Greenville News has to have at his Super Bowl party?
For me, being from New Orleans, it has to be red beans present for me, red beans and rice. My grandmother and my mom, they do a great job of that. So I need to learn their recipe, but if I were to attend the party, I would definitely bring that.
That's a good one.
Good choice.
That's a real good. And you know what, Diesel? I don't know if any of our Tolos would have suggested.
He'll be the only one.
That's a good one to write.
But
that
it's
down.
a staple. It's a staple of New Orleans cuisine. You're right there. Derrian Carter from the Greenville News joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Derrian, I know you weren't in the area 6, 7, 8 years ago when Dabo Swinney was really getting established at Clemson, but he was excellent at playing the disrespect card early in his tenure. I'm sure you probably even saw it on TV back then. How is Brad Brownell also using the disrespect card to his advantage with this team? Do you believe that he is?
I think internally there is kind of that disrespect with the way Clemson has kind of been treated across the country. But I just think that after the success of last year, the Elite Eight run, he's kind of building that momentum. Little John Coliseum is getting renovations because it's kind of like everything's kind of coming together to landing some premier recruits in the high school portal and then high school recruiting and in the transfer portal. So I think it's kind of a quiet confidence for Coach Brad in his tenure right now.
Derrian, what do you make of, since you follow a team and cover a team in the ACC, what do you make of North Carolina? Yesterday, Diesel and I had a debate about North Carolina and ripping the blue blood tag off. I don't know if it's gotten that low yet at North Carolina, but for someone who covers the ACC on a night in and night out basis, North Carolina is not used to being in this spot. And again, I know ultimately they may always still be looked at as a blue blood, but your reaction to what you've seen, I said this yesterday, I think this outlines it pretty well. If they miss the tournament, it'll be 2 out of the last 4 that Hubert Davis has missed the tournament.
Yeah, it's been tough for UNC. They did lose Armando Bacot and some of those key players for their team that's been a staple for them over the past few years. But I don't. It's interesting. I wouldn't count out North Carolina yet. They still have a chance, I believe, in the latest bracketology for Joe Lunardi. They're one of the next 4 out, but they can always change their fortune around with some quality wins down the stretch to propel themselves back into the tournament.
Derrian Carter of the Greenville News. Derrian, now I know that the Greenville News has undergone some changes, especially in its building downtown Greenville, but you're still located down there. What is your number one walkable go-to restaurant if you need to step out and grab something to eat downtown Greenville in the middle of your day?
A great question. I haven't been in the office much. Sometimes I work from home. I'm a picky eater, so it's got to be Chick-fil-A or McDonald's for me. I like to stay with the classic fast food restaurants.
Hard to go wrong with Chick-fil-A.
How do you make red beans and rice into Chick-fil-A? Now that's the question. That's the one thing we got to figure out.
I don't know if I could do that.
Not that he's a good writer. It's interesting. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, Derrian. For guys like Diesel and I who do radio for a living, you obviously do most of your talking through words, right? And I have friends of mine who are also writers. Do you find it challenging for when you talk to other people who are getting into writing? You mentioned you went to a broadcast journalism school. Do you find it challenging for someone to get into writing just cold turkey? Like, I say it all the time. I told Diesel, I wish I could be as good as a writer as you guys. When I say you guys, I mean the ones that write on a daily basis. Is that something that you had to pick up on and really learn and hone in? Or is that something that just comes naturally when you talk about being a really good writer?
It's definitely a balance of both. For me, I was always like in elementary school. I always remember in second grade, I was in an American Writer. It was like a parody of American Idol. And like our teacher would give us a different topic to write about on a blank sheet of paper and everything. And I finished in 4th or 5th, but just that kind of propelled me into like my love for writing. So I think for me, it's a mix of both. Sometimes I stare at my computer screen thinking, what will I write? And then sometimes if there's sometimes like when I'm watching the game, something bigger happens, like boom, that's my story. So kind of a mix of that.
Derrian, can you give me, 1 or 2 sort of sports books? Because there's so many of them out there that you would say was really instrumental on you to make you even want to get into the business of sports journalism.
Great question. I remember I need to get back with you on that.
That's all right.
Put you on the spot.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to remember stuff like that right off the top of your head.
What about your favorite article that you've done, like on the Clemson beat thus far? You said, what, a year, just over a year? What's your favorite article you've done so far on the beat?
It would have to be the article that I did for the CFP first round when Clemson faced Texas. It was a story about how Cade Klubnik, even despite Clemson losing, he performed well in that game and kind of showed that entering the next season, he could be that starting caliber quarterback for them that could lead them potentially back into the CFP in the national championship.
Derrian Carter, the Greenville News. We appreciate you coming on with us for the first time, Derrian. Great stuff, and we will continue to pump your work up. We appreciate your time, and best of luck covering Clemson basketball the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Clemson, by the way, in action tonight. We talked about this yesterday. I know it doesn't seem like Clemson, Georgia Tech would be a big one, but doesn't it seem like right now every game for them is a big one because they need to get in? It need to be in the top 25.
It feels like a game that they have to win big. You know, it feels like they need to win by 15 or 20 in this game. And that's not fair. It's an unfair standard to put on teams. Winning isn't good enough by itself. And we learned that talking to Bob Ritchie a year ago or so on the station. He's saying, man, nowadays you got to be able to game the system. You have to be able to beat teams by 20 or 30 to show the net rankings that you deserve to be there. And Clemson at this point in the season, I know there are different stories, one being a mid-major, one versus being a major, but Clemson kind of finds themselves in that position on the outside looking in. What is that thing they need to do to push them over the hump? Because I feel like once Clemson gets into the top 25, then it starts to snowball. And now you're a top 25 team that's beating teams by 15 or 20 points. And there's this extra little added benefit of the doubt that they're not getting right now, sitting just outside, sitting at around 26, 27.
They play Georgia Tech on the 14th of January in Atlanta. Tonight's game is at Little John at 9 p.m. Late game. But on January 14th, rather, Clemson beat Georgia Tech 70-59. So the Tigers were able to handle their business, went on the next week in overtime and beat Pitt. And then since then, Diesel have had wins against Syracuse, VT, and NC State. What's challenging is if they win tonight, let's say by 8 or 9 points, right? 8 to 10 points tonight. My issue is, what if they go on Saturday and lose to Duke? Because those rankings coming out on Monday, how are they going to view Clemson? Well, they beat Georgia Tech, Diesel, an unranked team, but then when they played a ranked team, the number 2 team in the country, they couldn't win. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I am. I don't have faith that next week, if they lose to Duke, even if they win tonight, I don't have faith that they'll be in the top 25 next Monday. No,
and it feels like at this point, Clemson winning a game by 5, as far as the committee is concerned and as far as the AP voters are concerned, a 5-point win is tantamount to a loss.
I know.
It kind of means nothing to them. So
you win big night, and somehow, some way, if they can what a statement that would be on Saturday. And we'll talk about it later in the week, but a big one at Little John on Saturday with Duke coming to town, Cooper Flag, number 2 team in the country. Are you kidding me? Position by position, Diesel. Let's get an answer here from you Tolos as well. Who has the better roster? Well, what do you mean better roster? Sunday, Kansas City or Philadelphia? Position by position, Tolos wants you to play along as well. That's next. Well, if you don't know who's going to win, dadgummit, we'll just find out for ourselves. We're going to go position by position. Kansas City versus Philadelphia. But first, I want to let you know, if you just tuned in, you can slam dunk in Vegas with the Fan Upstate. If you want a chance to win $20,000, here's how you enter. Download the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. Log in. Listen to the Fan Upstate for at least 1 hour a day to enter. One lucky winner in this national contest scores round-trip airfare and accommodations for 4 in Las Vegas. Plus, like I said, $20,000. You can enjoy the first 2 rounds of the college basketball championships and stay at the Circa Resort and Casino Las Vegas, premium sports viewing destination, and visit the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Good luck in this national contest. Diesel, I think you and I yesterday, looking at Stadium Swim online, would be happy just stay in there.
Yeah, this thing is awesome, man. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's basically like if you combined the concept of a swimming pool and an amphitheater into one. So you've got this huge TV or huge screen, and then right below that screen, you've got a swimming pool. And like, it looks like, 100 people could be in that swimming pool.
At least.
And then you've got a pool deck that's deep enough to fit like 3 rows of like cabana chairs. And then you've got another swimming pool behind that. So, man, it's like, can you think of a better place to hang out in Las Vegas in a swimming pool watching the game? Now, I just hope it's a heated swimming pool because I don't know if you know this, it gets cold in the desert in March.
You know what? I don't know if it's heated. That's a good question. I wouldn't care. I'd go.
I think you'd care as soon as the boys. As soon as the boys hit the water, you'd be like, I don't know, I want to be outside of the water.
Maybe they'll get a warm stretch. It's Vegas. They probably have a heated pool, I'm sure. Diesel, position by position, who has the better roster? Want to hear from you, Tolos, on this as well. 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. As we go position by position, feel free to play along as well. And we, by doing this, should determine who's going to win the game, right? Because that's the only thing that matters. Who has the better roster? Turnovers don't matter. Nothing else matters in this game. Do you want to start with the quarterback, or is that too easy to start with?
Might as well. I mean, it's the most important position.
It's
right?
most important position. Most important position. Is there any debate here, though?
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes.
By far, honestly, by far.
And I like Jalen Hurts. I really do. I think Jalen Hurts, Diesel's a winner. He's done a fantastic job in his career, not only in pro but in college, of winning. Simple as that. He got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. No disrespect to him, but you're right. Don't need to waste a ton of time on that. However, I will throw a curveball at you. You ready? Mm-hmm. Both quarterbacks get hurt in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
better position backup quarterback.
Oh my God.
Kenny Pickett for the Eagles versus Carson Wentz for I can't even say it without laughing. Carson Wentz for the Chiefs.
Oh God.
Please don't get hurt, right?
Neither. Flip a coin.
I know. You don't even want to have to choose.
I guess it's Carson Wentz. But it's
that would be, and I hate to say this, but do you know?
Just think one of those two is going to get a Super Bowl ring
with his an MVP, right? with as much hype and build up and money that goes into this Super Bowl. What if both got hurt? That we need our researcher in the next door room that does our research for us to tell us if there's ever been a Super Bowl where both quarterbacks got injured.
Wait, you have a researcher in the next room?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
What?
We have
He's
to go
doing
over
all the work.
We have to go over to the next room. You and I go over and get on the computer and we look it up.
Oh,
We're the
that's
research.
us doing the research.
We are the research. Yeah, you're right. Quarterback position, no need to spend a ton of time on that. Mahomes does win. Let's go to running back. So far right now, Philadelphia has the advantage. Madcraft says next position.
He's annoyed that we spent 30 seconds talking about the backup quarterback position.
Well, Kane says Jalen Hurts. I don't know if he's being serious. Are you being serious on that, Kane, or do you really mean that? Running back, Kareem Hunt with the Chiefs. Obviously, Isaiah Pacheco does get carries versus Saquon Barkley. And note, remember this, a couple of years ago when Philadelphia was in the Super Bowl, Diesel, against the Eagles, their running back room was Kenny Gainwell and Miles Sanders. And now 2 years later, it's Kenny Gainwell, Will Shipley, and Saquon Barkley. A much better running back room this time around. Who has the better running back?
It's by far the Philadelphia Eagles.
Not even close.
Not even close. I mean, I think, I think pretty highly of Kareem Hunt. I think he's good. I think Isaiah Pacheco behind him, pretty good. I think Samaje Perine was fantastic in college. He hasn't really come on in the NFL yet. We'll see if that develops over the next couple of years. It probably won't be with the Kansas City Chiefs. If he wants to be a number one, he's not going to do it there in KC. So he's going to have to find another opportunity somewhere else. But I mean, it's Saquon is having just a ridiculous season. And, I think you said it a couple of weeks ago. He's greatly returning value back to the running back position.
He is
teaching the NFL that a quarterback and wide receivers can't do it by themselves. And if you have a devastatingly tough runner like Saquon Barkley, he will win you a lot of football games.
Win you a lot of football games. No doubt. And that's why I think just the running back position, Diesel, is a big reason I think that the Eagles are a legitimate contender to win this thing. Again, I haven't given my pick. Diesel hasn't given his pick either on the Super Bowl. We'll do that closer to the game. So far, Diesel, we have the Chiefs with an advantage at one position, the Eagles on offense with an advantage at the other position. You get three wide receivers here, okay? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson. Those are your three receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles. For the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's go head-to-head as a room. Those three versus those three, not individually, but Worthy, Brown, and Schuster versus A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jahan Dotson. Who do you think has the better wide receiver 1, 2, and 3?
I mean, it's a narrow win, but I'm giving the win to the Kansas City Chiefs. Xavier Worthy is really good. Juju Smith-Schuster, that dude is fantastic. Hollywood Brown, great. I don't want to purely go off of reputation, right? Because that's what makes this conversation real difficult. Devontae Smith has kind of been a non-factor over the last couple of games. I know he's battling a little bit with some injury stuff, a hamstring. So, just for that reason, I would downgrade the Eagles' room just a little bit, but it's not a huge drop-off from what KC has.
It's not. Add in the fact, Diesel, this one's tough. Tolos, I need your help with this one, by the way, at 844-FAN-PHONE. Running wide receiver room, who do you like better? Diesel, I'm going to go with Kansas City as well because of D-Hop. D-Hop being that guy that could emerge, and I know I only read off Worthy, Brown, and Schuster, but D-Hop could be a guy with a size, with experience in the NFL. He could be a guy that emerges Sunday. Right now, and according to Vegas, DeAndre Hopkins over-under for total yards receiving is only 13.5, which is low.
It's hard to think he's only going to get 13.5 yards.
Right.
In the Super Bowl.
So because of DeAndre, and maybe I'm a little biased there, I think I'm going to go Chiefs as well. The Eagles, like you said, it's close. They have a good room.
It's just a little thin by comparison, just because of injury.
A.J. Brown is great. We all know how good he is. I think Spagnuolo, and again, I could be wrong here, but I'm going to go ahead and write this down as a storyline that we'll be discussing on Monday. I think Spagnuolo, Diesel, will do a fantastic job of not eliminating A.J. Brown, not taking him out of the game, but I think Spags will do a really good job of making it difficult for A.J. Brown to be the go-to guy for the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, I love Spags. I think he does a great job. We'll see on Sunday.
Wesley Roberts says Shop will score a touchdown. D-Hop, he corrects himself. D-Hop will score a touchdown. I was wondering if you meant Ship.
I was wondering the same thing, yeah.
It says, mark my words, D-Hop will score a touchdown Sunday.
You know what? You would think a guy like that in this caliber of a game would get some targets, right? I mean, it's a tough one. I just think by a narrow margin, I do think I like Kansas City's receiver room a little bit better. What about tight end? Travis Kelce versus Dallas Goedert. If you look at the numbers this year, Travis Kelce's had a down year, right? Mm-hmm. We all know what Travis Kelce has the potential of doing. I will throw a curveball right at you to start. Now, I'll choose Dallas Goedert in this one. I'll choose Dallas Goedert over Travis Kelce in this game as the better tight end.
He's more efficient. You know, he's picking up 11 yards a carry or 11 yards of reception versus 8.5 this season. Travis Kelce's production is down this year. Wondering if, you know, maybe it's too much Taylor Swift loving. Maybe it's too much distraction. Don't know. It's hard to say. He had that silly haircut to start the football season. Everybody's making a big deal out of that.
Did you see, by the way, the prop bet on if Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift?
If they win?
No. Or just in general at the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's yes or no, right?
Yeah, yes. I don't know the exact numbers, but it is. If you want to bet on it, you can bet on if Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Now, does that include? It won't be pregame, obviously. Does that include like post-game celebration on the field, or going up to the booth to talk to her?
I think so. You said it won't be pregame. What if it was?
She said no?
They would not talk about the game.
What if she said no? I cannot marry somebody who hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. I mean, I know he's won Super Bowls. This Super Bowl. You know, it's like in all the big fantasies, like movies. Like the prince can't marry the princess until he achieves the thing, and she'll be like, "No, honey, you haven't won since we've been dating, so I ain't dating no scrubs. A scrub is a guy who can't get no love from me." So she's like, "I'll say yes." If only if you win the Super Bowl.
I hate to do this because the offensive linemen never get enough love, but I'm going to skip over the offensive line and let's go straight to the defense. Better defensive unit in your mind, Philadelphia, with guys like Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, another Bulldog, Nolan Smith Jr., Josh Sweat, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Darius Slay Jr., Cooper DeJean, who might be one of the best emerging rookies to come out of last year's draft, Diesel, versus a KC defense that is really, really good. Top 4, I believe 4th currently in the NFL, led by Chris Jones, who's a future Hall of Famer. This one's tough. Who do you like?
I go with, very simply looking at the rankings, Cole, the Eagles have the best defense in the NFL. So you got to go with the Eagles.
I think they have more.
But
names.
The Chiefs aren't scrubs.
No.
The Chiefs aren't scrubs. I mean, but the difference, Cole, though, is giving up 40 yards per game. That's the difference between number 1 and number 9 in the NFL. Is 40 yards.
That's crazy, isn't
It
it?
is. But so this may be ultimately the game deciding factor. And if we get down to a situation where the Chiefs are down, less than a score, or they're tied and they get the ball down late, maybe this Eagles defense has enough in them to finally be the team that stops Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in their tracks and doesn't let them go down and get a game winner.
I'll agree with you. I'll go Eagles defense because they have bigger names. But I think Kansas City, they're kind of the no-name defense. I mean, we don't talk about the big names on their defense like we do the Philadelphia defense. But again, I've said it a million times. Don't count out Spagnuolo, man. I'll go with the Eagles defense, but it should be a lot of fun.
When we come back, Cole, we hit our headlines, our daily wires on the other side, right here on the Fan Up State. So much happening in the sports world, Cole. We do a segment every day called Our Daily Wires. This is what's happening in the sports world. Travis Kelce has announced that he has no plans to retire anytime soon, even if the Kansas City Chiefs win a third straight Super Bowl on Sunday. The future plans of the 35-year-old Travis Kelce have been a lingering question as he is getting more and more famous off the field due to his relationship with pop star Taylor Swift and, of course, his uber popular sports podcast.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the reminder about the podcast.
People are just waiting for him to retire. They're like, come on, Travis, get out of the game.
Well, I am. And I was, you know what? I was the same way with his brother, Jason. I didn't like Jason. It had a lot to do with him playing in Philadelphia, but I don't like either one. I dislike Jason more than I do Travis.
One local team, Cole, has already hit the diamond this season, North Greenville, and they are off to an excellent 4-0 start, outscoring opponents thus far by a combined 63-18 run differential. The Trailblazers are headed to Honolulu for a 5-game stretch this weekend. Wouldn't it be great if they came back 9-0?
Be great. They're really – Landon Powell has another really good team that's probably going to compete for, a chance to make a run to the championship again.
Here's a wild one, Cole. Wide receiver Cooper Kupp has been informed by the LA Rams that the, quote, team will be seeking a trade immediately. He said, I don't agree with the decision and always believed I was going to begin and end in LA. What do you think about Cooper Kupp being on the road?
That's a guy that I think, listen, he's not he's not the receiver he was in 2020, but I still think there's value there.
He seems like the guy that the Kansas City Chiefs would add and just get so much better and be able to use a guy like that.
I'd like him on my team. I really would. I think he's still got some good ball left in him. Maybe not the year he had when they went to the Super Bowl and won the darn thing, but I think that's very goes back to what you said yesterday about Luka. He didn't want to get traded, but it's not up to him. They don't really care. And you know what? He's been such a big part of the Rams' success. I think that's why it surprises me, because without him, they don't win that Super Bowl, right? He had a Hall of Fame type year. That's shocking. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up.
Times they are a-changing in the ACC, Cole, with Leonard Hamilton stepping down from Florida State's basketball program. Clemson will enter the 2025-2026 academic athletic year with the ACC's longest tenured head coach in both football and men's basketball.
How about that?
Man, having stability is a big deal, and Leonard Hamilton stepping down, that's huge for Florida State. Then again, Leonard Hamilton teams haven't really been Leonard Hamilton teams in a while.
Not as of late. They have not. And again, what does that say about the ACC? Like, as a conference, it's that Brad Brownell is the longest tenured coach, and man, like,
we wanted him fired like a year ago.
I know. The ACC, will they come back? I think they one day will be good again, but man, they're down in the dumps right now.
They got to be willing to invest big time in coaching, and the SEC is just eating their lunch right now.
They are.
Cole, this broke yesterday. In case anybody missed it, Major League Baseball on Monday announced that they had fired umpire Pat Hoberg for sharing legal sports betting accounts with a friend who bet on baseball and for intentionally deleting messages key to the investigation into his contact. There's no deleting messages anymore. Like, you could just do it on your phone, but like it's still out there somewhere. They will find it.
You can't do that?
No.
You can't do what he did?
I mean, you can do it. The only thing you're hiding it from, the only person you're hiding it from is somebody actually looking at your phone.
Oh, no, I don't mean hiding the messages. I mean, you can't share your gambling account.
No,
they have an issue with that?
You shouldn't.
If you're an MLB umpire.
Not a good idea. And Cole, last one here for you. Marcus Jordan, who is the son of Michael Jordan, was arrested near Orlando on DUI and drug charges. Marcus Jordan, who was 34 years old, was charged with DUI with property damage, possession of cocaine, and resisting an officer after allegedly fleeing a traffic stop. His Lamborghini SUV was found damaged and stuck on railroad tracks in Maitland, Florida. Marcus exhibited slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, and alcohol odor and resisted arrest. They found a baggie containing cocaine on him. He is a graduate of Whitney Young High School and a former college basketball player at UCF. He was reportedly singing on his way to jail with slurred speech.
Is it bad to laugh at that?
It's real bad.
He was.
I mean, when you're Michael Jordan's kid, you feel like you can get away with anything.
He was singing on it.
Oh, man.
I wonder what he was singing. What song was he singing? That's what I want to know.
I lied to you, Cole. There is one more, and this one is not nearly as funny and amusing.
Okay.
Tiger Woods' mother passed away at the age of 78. Coltita, I don't know how you pronounce her name. She was the one who actually started the Red Shirt Sunday tradition.
No way.
Yeah, she's credited with that. So
you're kidding me. I didn't
sad
know
news
that.
there.
That's like one of the biggest iconic moments in sports. Tiger wearing red on Sunday.
Yeah.
I did not know she was credited for that. I wonder if she made him wear it. Hey, you got to wear that red shirt today. It's Sunday.
She's like, we're going to make it a thing, Tiger.
That's right. He was arguing, I don't want to wear that red, and now it's pretty famous. All right, what are they saying, Diesel? Last night's introductory presser for the Super Bowl. Travis Kelce spoke. Patrick Mahomes spoke. The biggest names in the Super Bowl spoke. Roger Goodell even. We have that audio for you next. If you were not watching the full press conference that was happening last, I don't even know if the full press conference was aired last night. I know there were snippets all over social media when it was all said and done, but we have you covered right here on the Fan Upstate. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. That's the segment. What are they saying? And Diesel, my biggest takeaway from hearing this audio, I have several clips of it, but there is a free agent quarterback on the market in Jameis Winston. Did you know that?
Didn't realize he was back out on the market.
He's on the market, but after hearing this audio, I think he may need to take up a business in sports broadcasting. Here's Jameis Winston asking Patrick Mahomes a question last night. A very important question about Patrick Mahomes' favorite color.
A lot, man, but I think everybody really want to know today, bro, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is green.
Oh,
green,
yeah.
That's always been my favorite color. St. Patrick's Day, it worked out perfectly.
Hey, that's excellent. I can't believe that correlate with that, man. And St. Patrick's Day is celebrated like no other in the NOLA, dog.
Who has better enthusiasm than Jameis Winston on the mic? He didn't need to be a quarterback.
He's got what was his dad was a preacher. He's fantastic. He's entertaining. Come on, dude. Like, stop your career right now. Stop getting hit in the head.
Yeah.
Like, stop while your eggs aren't all the way scrambled.
He would be a fantastic broadcaster. And I don't know, there are a lot of ex-pro players, Diesel, that do make the transition to the booth. I mean, you can see them all over, but I don't know that we would have seen, even like a Pat McAfee. He's entertaining. He has a lot of charisma, right? But I just don't know when you talk about a guy like Jameis Winston that has that much energy and charisma, if we've ever seen anything like that. He might be, and I don't mean this, but for some out there, he might be too much, right? He might be too much because of the way he's so excited. He carries himself. I think he'd be pretty good, though.
I mean, could you imagine him, though, on a serious broadcast not that they don't joke around on the broadcast. I'm just saying, like, he's in a play-by-play call, third quarter of a tight football game, and he's like, hey, man, what do you think that quarterback's favorite color is? Like, what are you talking about?
I think he would need to be a sideline reporter.
Yeah.
I think he would do really well on the sideline.
Put him on the Nickelodeon cast. Right?
No, I want to hear him on my television. I want to hear him instead of, Chris Collinsworth. I want to hear, talk about a guy and Patrick Mahomes. I want to hear Jameis Winston.
We pair him up with the stuffiest play-by-play guy they can.
Contrast.
Think about how much fun it was when they put Nick Saban and Pat McAfee together.
Yeah, it was. It was contrast, right? Here is, yesterday, Diesel, we spent a lot of time talking about Luka's trade. I don't know if you know this or not. Patrick Mahomes is a huge Dallas Mavericks fan. And somebody asked him last night about his favorite player being traded from his favorite team.
Yeah, man, it's tough, because I feel like I've watched Luka since he was 18 years old. I remember going to a practice and it was Dirk and Luka, and seeing his maturation and how great of a basketball player he's became has been fun to watch. And as a Dallas fan, it hurts me, but I'm happy for him that he's going to be able to go out there and be in LA and get to try to achieve his dream of winning a championship. But he did so much, not only for the basketball team, but for the city of Dallas. So I'll always be appreciative of those years. But I'm excited for the Mavericks moving forward and the guys that they brought in.
Who would have thought they'd be talking NBA in the introductory press conference of the Super Bowl?
Guess what? You could still be a Luka fan, and that's what people do, right? They don't follow teams anymore. They follow players. So come on, Pat. You got a private jet.
Another one.
You can be in LA for a game in like an hour and a half.
Kansas City, I know it's centrally located, but yeah, I think he could still make it. I don't know if his fandom lied more with Dallas, Diesel, or if it lied more with Luka, right? He might have became a Dallas fan because of Luka. Who knows?
It helps that you're an hour and a half, 2 hour drive down the road. You can go see him, but like I said, you get in your private jet, you're a 2 hour flight away from LA to go see him anyway. So does it really matter?
More Jameis Winston. He is this one's funny. He is seeking career advice, Diesel. I don't know why, by the way, Fox Sports, they were the only one smart enough to say, hey, let's give Jameis Winston a microphone. Jameis Winston seeking career advice from Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
Man, I have so much respect.
I'm a big fan.
Hey, Jameis Winston, Fox Sports.
I know you are.
Man, I got so much respect for your leadership. Every year I watch the Philadelphia Eagles, I see that team is resilient, it's tough, and accountable. Can you please just answer the question that we all want to know? What do you think I need to go for free agency?
Say what you asked me again.
What do you think I need to go for free agency?
I don't know. I know you're a heck of a football player, though, and I think we were talking. Somebody and I were talking about you the other day. You got a lot of charisma. You sounded like seemed like a really good leader. Were you around Joe Casper?
I was around Joe.
He talks highly of you.
Yes.
Dave Borgonzi talks very
Coach
highly
Borgonzi.
of you. So everybody I've ever talked to sings your praises, and obviously your play speaks for itself. You got a lot of respect for you, man.
He's great other than his interceptions. Like, if he didn't throw interceptions, he'd probably be on a team somewhere right now.
Think about it this way. Jameis Winston could be the Michael Collins of NFL coverage. Like, you tune in and watch.
Yeah.
Anytime you're watching, you're flipping around, you land on ESPN, Michael Collins is on, you pay attention and watch because the dude just brings so much joy to talking about golf. He makes it so much more entertaining than your average stuffy golf reporter.
He does.
Jameis Winston can be that for the NFL. He could be the goofy guy you send on assignment. He'll wear bright, flashy colors. He'll get people laughing. Come on. ESPN, Fox, somebody make him a big deal. Please let it be ESPN because nobody's going to watch him on Fox.
No, I think that, obviously the pay's a lot different than, a starting quarterback in the NFL. But I still think that, to your point, he could add a lot. I thought, giving him a comp, I thought Robert Griffin was kind of similar before he was let go at ESPN and just how he was sometimes not outlandish Diesel, but sometimes he was so excited, so energetic. He sometimes said things that just kind of didn't make sense. It's like, what is he talking about? I kind of compare Jameis to a Robert Griffin in the broadcast booth. I think it would be great.
I feel like he's Robert Griffin on ecstasy.
Yeah,
he's just having the best time all the time.
He is. He's always having a great time. There's no doubt about it. Roger Goodell shutting the door on the script. What script, right? By the way, Diesel, people still believe there are human beings out there in this world that believe the NFL is scripted. People believe that.
Yeah, but what matters is that people believe it. It doesn't really matter whether it's true or not. It matters that a high percentage of people believe that it is, and then you start eroding fans' confidence in the game.
Here's Goodell.
Theories are things that happen in social media, and they get a new life. As you say, it's not your theory, but it's out there. Nobody wants it to be their theory. And so I understand that. I think it reflects a lot of the fans' passion. And I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better at all times? And if you look at the Chiefs record, which I think is an amazing thing, people talk about the competitiveness of our league. The Chiefs, with their 15 wins, 15-2 this year, 11 of those 15 games were within one score. And I think that talks about the competitiveness of our game and the importance of how we officiate it, but also the competitiveness of how we play it.
I think the script theory is fun. We joke about it, but the fact that people actually believe it, like, think about it like this, Diesel. Do you think college football players would leave college and go play NFL football if it were, I don't know, just a big old script? What sense does that make? Yeah, they still get paid, but they're competitors.
I think scripted is the
what's your name?
Easy way to describe it. I think what people really mean, Cole, is influenced in key moments, unfairly influenced in key moments. I mean, and it's because people can see with their own eyes that anytime the Chiefs are within a score and they're driving the field late, Patrick Mahomes is going to check up and get that late hit out of bounds. or they're going to call a dinky penalty to give them a first down. And people are tired of it because they don't see their teams getting the same calls. It's a little bit jealousy. There's a little bit of truth to it. And that's how these things grow into a big-time theory.
A pause on the audio from last night as we go to the phones. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Trey in Kentucky wants to weigh in. What's up, Trey?
Yes, Cole. I want to see if I can convince you to pull for Kansas City. So stay with me here for a second.
Okay.
You are a diehard Dallas fan, correct?
Sadly, yes.
Well, I understand. And you have a new head coach.
I do. Sadly, yes.
I understand that also. Do you know who his father was?
Marty Schottenheimer.
And who did he used to coach?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
And, we either missed the playoffs or got one and out. Missed the playoffs, one and out. Missed the playoffs, one and out. So I can sympathize with you. Now, I want to go a little further back.
Okay.
Being a diehard Dallas fan, why not pull for the original Dallas team?
Ooh.
And do you know who that is?
Yeah, Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah, well, they were originally the Dallas Texans.
That's right.
So you need to pull for them.
Wow. He has given.
What do you think, Cole?
I don't know, Trey in Kentucky.
I think he's thinking about it, Trey.
It's pretty good. He's given me some good reasons, right? You know what? How about one more reason, Trey?
And Hopkins.
Nuke Hopkins, 100%. One more. It's the Eagles. They're in my team's division, right? How could I pull for a division team?
Well, I have a problem there because AFC versus NFC, I can understand you pulling for another NFC team, but I do get that. But, if your loyalty is to Dallas, you got to go with the original Dallas team, boss.
I like it. Thanks for the call, Trey.
Thank you, Trey.
How about Trey?
And it's not like this is college where, you could say a team from our conference who is our rival.
Yeah.
Winning a national championship is good for our conference because it brings more attention. It brings more dollars. We're going to get, some piece of the money that comes to the conference. We're going to get a little something out of this thing, even though we're not playing in it. That's not the case in the NFL. So you really don't have a reason to pull for the Eagles.
Dewey texts in and says, don't be a sheep, Cole. Dewey not wanting me to be a sheep. I'm sorry. That was not Dewey. Dewey texted in and said, Cole, you're going to lose a lot of money on Sunday. Texter from the 515 that didn't put his name says, don't be a sheep, Cole. I don't know. I think Trey in Kentucky did a heck of a job of trying to convince me to pull for the Chiefs. Let's change it to Taylor Swift now, Diesel. Do you right now today, without looking, could you name one single Taylor Swift song?
Shake It Off.
Okay, good job. You now can name more Taylor Swift songs than Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert.
Okay.
Is she the one that does she sing Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls? She doesn't. Man, Taylor Swift song. She's an incredible artist, but she ain't on my playlist. I'm more of the Philly guys, the Meek Mill. Obviously been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar. Won't get to see him at the halftime show, but I'm sure he's going to put on quite the performance.
So he didn't know, Dallas Goedert did not know who Taylor Swift, knew who she was, but he couldn't name
How can
one.
you not? How can you not know who she is? It's like saying 20 years ago, Whitney Houston, who's that?
Yeah, what about the one in the Panthers Super Bowl? The Justin Timberlake and
Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. Wow.
Most famous nip in sports.
How long has that been? Does that not seem like 30 years ago? That was Patriots Panthers in 2000 and let me guess. That was Patriots Panthers in 2009? How far off am I?
That was 2004. It was 20 years ago.
I was so far off.
20 years.
I said 9. I was 5.
The wardrobe malfunction. That's what they call it.
Yeah. How can you forget about that? Wow. All right. A couple other pieces of audio here, Diesel, for you. Where do we go now? Do you know who Guillermo is? He's a little short Hispanic.
I know
comedian.
Guillermo del Toro.
Okay, it might be
The
I don't know.
actor. No, he's a
Little short
director.
guy?
Sorry, he's a
Little
director.
short guy, no.
I mean, he's a little guy.
This Guillermo always like he's known for going and asking these funny questions.
Okay,
right?
not the same Guillermo.
So different Guillermo. He's got a good one for Jalen Hurts. Why they call it the tush push?
I don't call it that. You guys call it that.
Is it better to be a tush or pusher?
Again, you call it that. I call it the quarterback sneak. I keep it very standard.
Is it better to be the tush?
Oh,
or
this
the
guy.
pusher?
I know that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. He's on Kimmel. He's on Kimmel. I knew this guy. I know this guy.
Is it better to be the tush or the pusher? Jalen Hurts not falling for it, though.
Well, they don't call it the tush push. They call it the brotherly shove.
That's right, brotherly shove. Speaking of, we mentioned Roger Goodell a second ago. Here was Roger Goodell on something you mentioned. Some of the antics, right? The flags, the flopping, if you will. Roger Goodell.
Flagging for flopping. This may be a social media question, but I think we all have seen a lot of quarterbacks who maybe game or milk the system and the rules. We've seen a lot of guys who maybe are the second retaliator who then get flagged for egregious flailing of arms or, what have you. So is there any consideration to potentially flagging for flopping as some other sports leagues have done?
Well, I can't speak to the other leagues, but I think I guess it depends a little bit on what your definition of flopping is. We have taken very strong stands on teams and players that have not necessarily what we would call the player wasn't necessarily injured on the play. They were trying to use to stop the clock. You may put that into the flopping category. The other may be just trying to draw a flag on another team. I think that has not been a significant issue for us. Competition committees talked about that in the past. They probably could talk about it in the future.
Flagging for flopping, Diesel.
Hasn't been a significant issue for us. Are you sure about that, Roger? God, these things like this, Cole, interview questions like that make people believe even more that the whole thing is rigged. Because here you go. You got the commissioner who can see with his eyes, just like you and I and everyone else can see that this stuff is going on, saying, I'm not really sure that it is happening.
One more from Goodell on the officials favoring the Chiefs.
Widespread perception that officiating has favored the Chiefs. Not my perception, public perception. How much of a concern is that for you in the league?
Well, this sort of reminds me a little bit of the script, right? That I write a script and I have the script for the entire season. Listen, I think from a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media and they get a new life. As you say, it's not your theory, but it's out there. Nobody wants it to be their theory. And so I understand it. I think it reflects a lot of the fans' passion. And I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's a ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better at all times? And if you look at the Chiefs record, which I think is an amazing thing.
Now he's going back into the audio we've already heard.
God, that dude's got a career in politics.
He's a good politician,
if being a
man.
commissioner doesn't suddenly stops paying so well,
yeah,
he's got a heck of a career in politics because he turned his question from why is everybody cheating to I think, it just shows how important officiating is.
And their passion.
What does that even mean,
The
Roger?
fans' passion for the game is what he said. Last one for you, Diesel. Reporter asked Travis Kelce, will Taylor Swift's dad cheer for the Eagles or the Chiefs? Because that's the question we were all wanting to know.
I don't know her to have the fandom. I know her father has a Philadelphia fandom as an Eagles fan, and she'll be all for the Chiefs this time around for sure. You know what? I'll have to ask Scott himself. We haven't had that combo yet, but I think he'll be wearing red. I don't know.
So Taylor Swift's dad is a Philly fan. But Travis says it doesn't matter. Look, he's my girlfriend's dad. He'll be wearing red. That's what he says.
You don't speak for me, Travis.
I don't know.
You never let somebody named Travis tell you what to do.
One last thing I want to look up. I'll do this during the break, Diesel. Don't let me forget later in the show or even later this week. Is there a bet? Tolos, help us out here. Is there a bet on how many times Taylor Swift will be shown on the TV broadcast?
Oh,
I say,
is there a bet? Yes. What's the number?
It's going to be high.
I'm going to set the over-under at 7.5.
I'd say over.
Is he clearly over?
Yeah.
What if I set it more like 9.5?
I was thinking 9.5.
9.5. I thought 9.5 too, but I'm like, I got to back it down because 9.5, that means they're showing Taylor minimum twice per quarter and probably once at halftime. Now, you're talking during the game, right? In-game flashes to Taylor Swift in the booth.
Yeah, I'd say under 9.
Under 9.
Under 9, but over 7. I'd say 8. Give me 8. 8.5.
8.5 is a good over-under for this. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. On the other side of the break, I'll tell you how you could score a slam dunk in Vegas trip. That would be a flight and a whole bunch of cash to go have a good time. We'll tell you about that next. And Cole, it's time for the nominations for the GOAT Super Bowl dish bracket. Tolo's asked for it. We're going to give it to you. That's coming up next. Tolos, you asked for it. This is you getting it right here and right now. Super Bowl dish brackets. What is the best Super Bowl dish that has to be at your party? Here's how we're going to do this, Tolos, because we're limited on time, right? Only 3 more show days before the Super Bowl. We have to limit the number of entries that we get. So we're going to have a 16 food item bracket, Cole. 16 food items. The top 4 vote getters in each category of appetizers. That's anything you eat before the main course dishes, side items that are not considered appetizers, and desserts.
Do people eat dessert?
Yeah, people eat dessert at Super Bowl parties.
I'm so stuffed on
I know.
chips and-
I genuinely don't because I don't have any room for it. I like to stuff myself down on other things, Cole. But that's how we're gonna do this.
So let's go full fat boy status for a second.
Yeah.
And help the Tolos out. Let's give them some choices.
Yeah.
Whether it's your buffalo chicken dip.
Sure.
And
sure.
you chime in. Sliders. You like sliders? Wings. Let's see. Cheese
Beanie
sticks.
weenies.
Oh, wait a minute.
Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket. So
not beanie weenies. I meant like cocktail weenies.
Cocktail weenies. I love cocktail.
Yeah.
So cocktail weenies and pigs as well. Those are both
So
good.
all right, we have to define a couple things here. Do we
Okay.
consider like multi-layer dips to be an appetizer or a side item?
See,
But
that's-
I think
I
it's
don't
an
know.
appetizer. I think a multi-layer dip is an appetizer.
And you know what? That's the thing. Like you could label potato skins as it's hard to differentiate.
It's okay. I mean, it's okay if there's going to be a little overlap in
Yeah.
between the appetizer and side item categories, and that's okay, right? So we're also going to do this, Cole, with if we get a ton of submissions here, we're going to have to kick some items out of the list. The ones that get the most submissions, like Tolos are repeating them over and over again, those are going to be the ones that get higher seated.
Yeah.
And those are going to be the ones that absolutely will push somebody. If one person says like shrimp skewers, even though that sounds delicious, it's not really a Super Bowl item. Some people might have it. That's fine, but it's going to get booted off the list if there's enough other items in that same category that get a lot more votes and push it off the list.
Michael, what is your beef here today, man? Michael says on the text line 844 fan phone, multi-layer dips should go in the trash. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Are you, Michael?
Wow.
And wasn't Michael the same one that said he's having 30 to 40 people at his Super Bowl
Yeah,
party?
it's calorie dense, Michael.
Oh my God.
Michael.
Before we start though, just for the record,
Mhm.
you and I asked Derrian Carter earlier, which you'll hear in about 30 minutes from now. Only like let's say you and I are going to a party, and you only get to choose one. I'm going to go with a little wild card here. You know what I love making? I love making it. I love eating it. Cowboy caviar. Have you ever had it?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No. Is that like some like Rocky Mountain oysters?
No. No. Cowboy caviar is fantastic. So it's a dip that's consisted of it consists diesel of black-eyed peas, and help me out, Tolos. Black-eyed peas, tomatoes, corn. It is a peppers, onions, guacamole, or avocado. It's a fantastic dip. Cowboy caviar. There's no way the Tolos out there. I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm telling you, I've made it. It's delicious. I think it's black beans, pintos.
Would you consider that an appetizer or a side?
I think an appetizer. And I said pintos. I meant black-eyed peas. I think it's black beans.
Okay.
Black-eyed peas, onions, avocado, corn, pepper, and tomatoes. I think that's it.
Well, we're going to put it on the list. How about that? It's on the list until something knocks it off. So Tolos, right now, let's take your appetizer submissions, okay? We'll do this categorically, and then we'll just kind of open it up, make it a free-for-all by the end of this thing. 844-326-3663. What are your goated appetizers at your Super Bowl parties? Whether you're putting the party on or whether you're going to a party, what has to be there that you would consider to be an appetizer? It's the thing that you eat that tides you over until you're ready for the main course.
And see, are wings appetizers or main courses? Because you order wings as some places as an appetizer, Some places,
I think wings are a main course. If you're getting like a party platter of 100 wings, you're anticipating on that being a main course, in my mind. So and it's okay. It's okay if there's a little crossover. Here.
I think there's gonna be a lot of crossover.
That's we're arguing semantics at this point. All these things are delicious, and let's be real, they all get piled onto your plate anyway. But we do have to categorize them just a little bit. So Tolos, what are your favorite appetizers that you have at your Super Bowl parties? 844-326-3663. Text or call that number. What has to go on this list?
So many good ones. So many good ones. I'm sure there will be some dips on there. Cocktail weenies for me. Little Smokies.
Little Smokies?
Those are the best, man. Those things, however you make them, I think I do like barbecue sauce,
crock pot, just
jelly.
A pot with a little like, sounds weird to say, crock pot full of 1-inch weenies.
Yeah,
and the toothpicks, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah, but I think I go with the weenies.
Yep,
grape jelly, barbecue
grape
sauce.
jelly and barbecues. Oh, that's good.
I think that's and maybe a little
a
little apple cider vinegar. I can't remember. Those are hard to beat, man. Those are hard to beat. DB asked on the YouTube stream, are wings on the app? Wings are main course.
We're putting them in the main course category, but that's okay. It's okay if there's a little crossover here.
DB goes Rotel Velveeta dip. That's so good.
Oh, we'll put a little ground beef in it too.
Yeah, that Rotel stuff.
Rotel.
That's an easy one to make too, man. You just go buy one of those aluminum pans, throw the Velveeta and all the other ingredients, whether you put sausage or beef. That Rotel's a good one. That's a tough one. That's going to be good. I think that'll make it.
Texter says crack dip. Look it up.
Crack dip.
Well, Tolo, we want you to describe it to us. Tell us what crack dip is.
Is it legal? Crack dip. It says it's an easy cheese dip. Let's see.
Easy and cheesy.
So it says crack dip is, man, I don't know, cream cheese, sour cream, mayo, ranch dressing mix, and bacon and cheese. And you know what?
That just sounds like a whole lot of olive oil and mayonnaise.
I've never heard of it. It looks great.
I'm sure it tastes great.
It does. It looks great. Crack dip. I have never heard. Chattelike says, gotta have cheese sticks. Yeah. I mean, he's right. And I'm talking about good cheese sticks, right? Mozzarella sticks, not the microwave frozen ones are okay, but if you go to a place and you order them and there's just like almost feel like they're hand battered. I mean, the really good cheese sticks. Those are good.
Yeah, the really good, the ones that are oozing out the side.
Yeah.
Like if I like bite into a cheese stick and like nothing oozes out, it's not a good cheese stick.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot too.
Hot cheese. It means you did it. It means you just got some out of a box from the freezer, and you didn't put a lot of effort into your cheese stick. So here's what we've got so far. We got buffalo dip, cowboy caviar, Little Smokies, and that includes all varieties of cocktail weenies, Rotel dip, 7-layer dip, and mozzarella cheese sticks.
And we only get 4.
You only get 4. You only get 4. Now, we could move some of these to another category if you don't like where they are.
I think smoked Rotel and Velveeta dip. It seems like that's gotten a couple of votes.
That's an appetizer.
Cheese sticks has now gotten a couple.
Okay.
Little Smokies has now gotten a couple. That's 3.
Okay.
And what were the other ones?
Buffalo dip, cowboy caviar,
and
7-layer dip.
Correct me, Tolos. I think the 7-layer dip has like the bean dip,
beans, guacamole,
that's good
sour
stuff.
cream,
That's good
shredded
stuff.
lettuce.
That's real
cheese.
Good. Real good.
But that's an appetizer though. That's something you have as an appetizer. We're gonna boot it off the list. Say it, like mozzarella cheese sticks. That's an appetizer. You go to any restaurant. You can't order that as a side. Well, you could, I guess, but that's a side item.
So we got to decide on the 4th. Again, we have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Scotty from BMW says shredded steak queso cheese dip. Well, I think Scotty from BMW, that kind of falls in the whole Rotel Velveeta meaty cheesy dip.
Never had that. Sounds good. So let's see. Texter says you need a dip category and a finger food category. Let's see. We've got 3. We need to find one. We need to claim one more on the appetizers. Buffalo dip or 7-layer dip. That's what we're down to.
Buffalo dip because buffalo dip is purely an appetizer, right? You don't have that as your main course.
No,
not really.
And the Rotel Velveeta dip, did that make it?
I think it has to. We've had so many people say there's probably 5 or 6 different varieties and ways that you can do it. So I think Cole, Cowboy Caviar has to go.
Even though Landon, how about this text? Landon from Spartanburg might have just come in clutch for me.
What does Landon say?
Cole, Cowboy Caviar's on point, but also a texter from 324 says Buffalo dip.
Buffalo dip.
203 says I really like potato. Texter, we can't read that.
So we got to make a decision here.
Okay.
We got 5 items here. One of them has to go. Buffalo dip, Little Smokies, a Rotel and Velveeta like cheesy dip, a 7-layer dip, and mozzarella cheese sticks.
I think 7 layers got to go.
7 layers got to go.
You can't boot cheese.
Do you think 7 layers? Okay, I'm feeling you on the 7-layer dips got to go because Cole, 7-layer dips one of those things that looks great when you first like scoop into it, but like it's kind of unsatisfying.
Yeah. No, I think you got to boot it.
Okay.
So is that our 4?
That's our 4.
Say it again.
Buffalo dip, Little Smokies, Rotel and Velveeta dip, mozzarella cheese sticks.
We got a lot of Buffalo. The Buffalo is high.
Yeah.
Buffalo's
got to be on
So
there.
those are the 4. I think those are solid 4. So those 4 for the Tolos that just tuned in, those are in the bracket. It's a 16-team bracket. And those are in the bracket.
Those are in. All right, let's move on to the main courses. We've already had.
We're gonna blow through the break and come back and continue it. We had some other content, but we'll get to that later.
Wings are already on the list. That's a given, right?
This is main course.
Main courses.
100% wings.
Main courses.
Yeah.
Scotty from BMW says Buffalo dip. Get rid of it. The only thing Buffalo should be is wings. Stop it. You haven't had good Buffalo dip. Okay, so wings is on there.
We only get 4.
You only get 4. Other options, you could think burgers. Nobody's really cooking steaks
people don't eat burgers either, do they?
Yeah.
For a Super Bowl party?
Yeah. I mean, burgers and dogs. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm going to let the Tolos put this out there, okay?
I may be wrong. I don't know.
They're the ones who ultimately decide what goes on this list. Michael says, keep going. I'm making my grocery list as we speak.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Tolo Texer says, who wants gassy people at their party?
So Pigs in a Blanket, that would have counted as an app, right?
Pigs in a Blanket would have counted as an app. But it could count as a side.
RIP. It could. That's true.
It could count as a side. Super Bowl is all for those beige foods, brown stuff.
Yeah, we got to nominate sliders, right? Sliders. And I guess technically to your burger point, that could go.
Burger slider
count.
counts.
Yeah, burger slider or
sliders and burgers. It counts. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Thin,
I think
thin burgers, thick burgers. It's still a burger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So wings, sliders, is pizza an acceptable Super Bowl party item?
Is it acceptable? Sure. Are
is
you
it
going to be
disappointing?
Yes.
Like you go to somebody's house and they're throwing a party and they got like 10 boxes of Pizza Hut or Little Caesars or whatever.
It's a little disappointing.
You're going to say, not really into that.
It's a little disappointing. Let's just sorry for any Tolos out there who are getting pizza in.
Here we are. Texter says ribs. Ribs for your Super Bowl. Yeah. You gotta spend all day.
If you've got if you've got the cha-ching and you want to show off the cha-ching, you have ribs at your Super Bowl party. It's acceptable.
We have another nomination for pulled pork.
Nah,
not really.
I know. Texture pulled pork. Now maybe on the sliders. Hey, meatballs though, is that a side?
Meatballs. Well, depends on how big they are.
How big the balls are.
If your balls are the size of your fist, then that's a main course. If they're, a size of something Rob Brown can hold in his fist, that's a side.
Texter says brats.
Brats.
That's a good one.
I like it.
It's got to go on the candidates.
I like it. Brats is on there.
So
okay.
We're gonna.
That's 4.
How many do we have now?
That's 4.
And they are brats.
Brats, wings, sliders, and ribs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Heartburn for days.
I don't even think we need to worry about it.
Do we?
No. Nah. That's a good 4.
Got another one for ribs.
I'll say this: if Tolos can convince us to take one of those 4 off on the main dish for something else, we'll intrigue. We'll listen. Dewey says liver and onions. How about that?
Gross.
Dewey, get out of here with that.
There you go.
All right.
Sides and desserts coming up.
Sides and desserts next. We've gotten the main course and the appetizers taken care of. Tolos, don't go anywhere because we need you next. there were two. We've gotten the appetizers set. We've gotten the main courses set. We need the sides and the desserts. If you just tuned in and like, what are we talking about right now? Well, we're doing a Super Bowl spread bracket challenge, 16 total nominations, and you, Tolos, are deciding right now the nominations. Diesel, we are on wings, right?
We are on. We're on sides.
God, you see where my head is?
Yeah, we're on sides at this point.
We're not doing a whole week. We're doing sides.
No, we're doing sides, and I have a couple of ideas, but I want Tolos to reach out 844-326-3663. It's okay if your sides kind of overlap a little bit with the appetizers, because let's be real, everybody just keeps going back and back and back and back.
I'll go pigs in a blanket as a side idea. You got that one?
Pigs in a blanket. That okay. That's different from those are different from Little Smokies.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket are
That's
good.
a good one.
The croissant rolls.
The croissant rolls. Yep. A lot of people have said potato skins, so I feel like that one has to be on the list.
It's a good one.
I'm gonna nominate Cole jalapeno poppers.
You know what?
You like spicy
Those
food?
are popular. I don't eat jalapenos.
I mean, pepper poppers, right?
Yeah.
They could be whatever kind of peppers you want. But like I make them sometimes where I hollow them out and then I fill them with sweet potato, believe it or not.
Oh, man.
Sweet potato. And then I wrap it with a piece of bacon and cook it until everything's all crispy and runny. And you can put buffalo dip in there as well. You could put cream cheese in there. There's a lot of different ways that you could make a jalapeno popper. And if you don't like it hot, get those little sweet chilies. You know, those like little 1.5 inch long sweet chilies.
That's a popular one. I think a lot of people, I don't eat peppers, but a lot of people do.
There's more vitamin C in one green pepper than there is in 3 apples.
Really?
Or 3 oranges.
I didn't know that.
Excuse me.
No.
Yeah, they're loaded with vitamin C. How about nachos? Nachos is a side item.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a good one. That's hard to beat.
You can load up your nachos however you want.
Yeah.
Right? You load it up with brisket. You can load it up with chicken. You can load it up with buffalo dip. You can load it up with whatever you want.
Mac
nachos.
and cheese has been nominated like 4 times.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah. A couple times on the text, couple on the stream. DB, Scotty. Let's see. Jarrett Tripp. A lot of people are nominating mac and cheese.
I don't like mac and cheese, but that's my problem, right?
Yeah, it is.
How about loaded fries or tots?
Loaded tots is a good one.
Loaded tots, loaded fries.
Yes, a good one.
You could even bridge the gap and do like loaded waffle fries. Come on.
Be good.
Which is basically the same thing as a nacho, just in a more deep fried delivery system.
Texter from the 432 says chips, big bowl of chips, easy, and everyone grabs. So I think, I think that's a good one, right?
So we've got now 7 nominations for sides.
Got to narrow it down.
Got to narrow it down. Okay, here, people. Something's got to go. Potato skins, some form of pepper poppers, whether it's jalapeno or sweet. It's up to you.
Yep.
Nachos, loaded fries or tots, pigs in a blanket, mac and cheese, and chips. Something's got to go. 3 of these have to go.
7, yeah, you're right.
How are we going to do this? 3 of these have to go.
Tolos, which ones have to go? It's simple as that, right? Which ones have to go? Again, Diesel said it. Potato skins, pepper poppers, nachos, loaded fries, pigs in a blanket, mac and cheese, and chips.
Potato skins has been nominated so many times. I don't think we can take it off the list.
I think that's
goated. Yeah. So,
and I think mac and cheese was voted on a lot.
Mac and cheese was voted on a couple times.
Sure
that one is protected.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So
that leaves us with Texter said pigs in a blanket has to go.
What? Pigs in a blanket? Is it because we already have
Maybe.
a dish with small weenies?
Yeah, it could be.
Are you willing? That was your suggestion. Are you willing to let it go?
That's fine. And then Scotty also says loaded fries because you can only have one starch, which is fair, right?
So if loaded fries has to go.
Yeah. So loaded fries
okay. Now we're down to
wieners.
5. We're down to 5.
Go.
Potato skins, mac and cheese, jalapeno poppers, nachos, and chips.
Oh man,
one of those has to go.
Which one, Tolos? 5. Whoa,
we're at 5.
That's tough, man. That's tough. That I don't know. How in the world are you gonna?
I mean, and chips can be anything.
Yeah.
There's so many different varieties of chips, and nachos is kind of a chip, right?
Scotty says chips. You eat them every day.
Chips have to go.
Fair enough.
I mean, if you're going to eat nachos, a nacho is a chip.
Fair enough.
It's just a
go.
loaded chip.
Yeah,
chips are gone.
Go.
Okay.
So we need 4 desserts.
We need 4 desserts. We got to do it quickly, Tolos. Your favorite desserts to have on Super Bowl. Certainly you could say like football-shaped cookies, right?
Cookies. I'll go better than that. I'll go Oreo pie.
Oreo pie over cookies.
Oreo pie. Oh my gosh.
Oreo pie is good stuff.
Oreo pie,
Oreo
man.
pie.
You put a big old thing of Oreo pie in the refrigerator, let it sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and sit. Oreo pie is so hard to beat, man.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
it's goated. It's excellent. So this is when it gets tough. The desserts are a tough item because most people don't eat desserts.
Yeah.
Because they're all you're full by then.
Oreo pie also coming from Jarrett Tripp.
How about a good fruit spread?
Yeah, I guess that does.
I'm kidding about that. Nobody's eating a fruit spread.
Really?
How about cookie cake?
Yeah, I like cookie cake.
Cookie cake's on there. All
I
right,
do like
Tolos, we're going to settle this off air as we've taken up a lot of your time.
And then tomorrow, what are we doing? Going through round 1?
We'll do rounds 1 and 2.
Oh, rounds
tomorrow. We'll do 1 and 2. So the round of 16 tomorrow.
Okay.
The round of 8 tomorrow. And then we'll do the round of 4 on Thursday.
Yeah.
And the finals on Friday.
Oh, my son. Hey, there's one right there. It's a good one. Scotty from BMW says cherry cheesecake.
Cherry cheesecake.
That's a good one. It's a really good one. Cherry cheesecake slices, easy, knock them out.
Love it. Love it. And then Michael just says M&M's. I don't know if M&M's go on the list.
I don't think you can count.
You can't put
M&Ms.
M&M's as a dessert.
I don't think you can count M&Ms.
So we got space for one more. Tolos 844
more?
fan phone.
One more. I like it. All right, coming up next, though, we will talk a little Clemson basketball in the very next segment. If you missed it earlier, we had a great conversation in the 4 o'clock hour, actually at 4 o'clock, with Derrian Carter, Greenville News. Talk Clemson basketball. You'll hear that next.
Clemson beat writer for the Greenville News. Look him up at Derrian, Derrian, Carter 00 on Twitter. For the first time, welcome to the show, Derrian. You know, we've had sitting Division I head coaches on this show before here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson, and they tell us nowadays it's not really that you win, it's how much you win by. So my question for you is, how is the AP looking at Clemson winning its last 10 games by an average of 10 points? And yes, that includes the 10-point loss to Louisville back on January 7th, and saying that just isn't good enough.
It's interesting, just because some of the teams that's ahead of them are some of those SEC teams who to those posters, they may feel they're playing a tougher schedule than Clemson. I believe Ole Miss was ranked ahead of them, and there was another SEC team ranked ahead of Clemson as well. So it's just they're looking at quality of competition. Compare SEC to ACC. The comparison this year, ACC rank-wise isn't as tough as SEC, so that could be a reason why Clemson isn't ranked in the AP poll, but they are one spot away. They would technically be ranked number 26 in the AP poll if they were to extend the poll.
I'll tell you what, man, it's quite fascinating. And Derrian, Diesel and I talked about it a good bit yesterday. Do you think the committee or whoever makes the AP poll, the voters, do you think they look at Clemson's resume and just say simply Clemson hasn't done enough?
That potentially could be a thing, but when you do assess Clemson's especially their non-conference schedule, they beat Kentucky, who was ranked in the top 5 at the time. They lost the double overtime game to Memphis, who was ranked in the top 25. So in terms of their analysis, maybe they're looking at those were earlier in the season, and they're just comparing to Clemson's recent success. It has to come against many ranked teams. You mentioned the Louisville loss. They were ranked at the time, I believe, but now they fell out of it. So it has to be recency more rather than their non-conference, their entire schedule, their resume so far.
You know, Derrian, I've seen a handful of conferences do this. I know for a fact the Sun Belt does, and there's other ones as well that will put together, you know, a mid-season, early season, and then mid-season head-to-head challenge between teams in their conferences. As the ACC has kind of fallen off across the board and it's not getting a whole lot of love in the rankings, it almost feels like that would be a viable path for the ACC to take. Maybe team up with the Big Ten, with the American Athletic or the Big East to say, okay, our one is going to play your one, our two is going to play your two down the stretch, considering the fact that ACC teams now aren't getting a whole lot of opportunities to play ranked teams in season.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I know for the past 2 seasons there has been an SEC and an ACC challenge, and I believe ACC teams only won 2 of those games, and Clemson being one of them, beating Kentucky. So maybe potentially having a more out-of-conference play between across the entire conference in its entirety could be something that could help boost the ACC's outlook in terms of the country.
Derrian Carter of the Greenville News joining us right here on the Fan Upstate, as Diesel said, for the first time. Derrian, since it is your first time, help us in the Upstate get familiar with you. Obviously, we're going to encourage our Tolos out there, our audience, to give you a follow on X. Give us a little background, though. Where are you from? How long have you been in the Upstate? And then I'll throw one more at you. What's your, so far, your favorite thing about the Upstate?
Awesome. So I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. My family and I moved there after Hurricane Katrina. Undergrad, I went to Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, and I received my master's degree at Arizona State University at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. And I got here in the Upstate last January. I started on January 29th in the middle of the Clemson basketball season. So it's been a 365 plus days for me here. And the best thing about the Upstate so far to me, it's a good question. I would say just the Clemson's campus. And for my undergrad, it was kind of like a smaller campus, and for my master's degree, the journalism school was just in downtown Phoenix. So visiting Clemson is much kind of a larger campus compared to those 2 places where I was at. So I definitely say the campus, seeing Memorial Stadium, Little John Coliseum, just walking around those throughout this past year has been pretty surreal for me.
So, Derrian, would you say, and this is something that Clemson fans love to point out, they love to point out the special family feeling of being on campus there at Clemson. I want your honest opinion here. Would you say that you felt that in your time on Clemson's campus, or is it maybe just a little bit of marketing hype?
No, I could definitely say there's been like a family feel. So for the football games, for example, I walked by a couple of like the people tailgating for the game, and some of them kind of invited me to come over and just to introduce myself and things like that, trying to get to know them, what I do, and like just watching some of the pregame stuff. So I definitely think this definitely is a family attitude, even from the Clemson athletic department. They've been really helpful with me throughout my time here, and even to the local writers, national writers, beat writers, TV sports directors as well. They've been extremely nice, extremely helpful, and just kind of welcome me with open arms here.
Yeah, those radio guys have got to be better. Those radio guys aren't any good. Derrian, speaking of Clemson athletic department, something fascinating that Ross Taylor tweeted out yesterday, and I'm sure you've seen this already, with the news that Florida State head coach Leonard Hamilton plans to step down after the season. Ross Taylor tweeted out, Clemson would then enter the 2025-2026 academic athletic year with the ACC's longest tenured head coach in both football and men's basketball. I know you haven't been in the upstate for a long time, Derrian, but for a guy in Brad Brownell who has had some pressure on him in years past, what do you make of that tweet from Ross Taylor?
I think it just speaks to Coach Brad Brownell, his philosophy and his will to keep going. As you mentioned, he did receive pressure, especially the year, I believe 2 seasons ago, when they missed NCAA tournament, and then they rebounded from that last season to make the March Madness, to reach the Elite Eight for the first time in 44 years. And now he carried over that success from last season and was entering this season with the 18-4 start, bringing back Chase Hunter, who's having an exceptional season, adding in those transfer players that kind of complement him, and Ian Shefflin and Chauncey Wiggins. So kind of speaks to his will, determination, and now he'll be the elder statesman of the ACC next season with Hamilton stepping down.
Derrian, what do you think it is that Chase Hunter isn't getting as much of the national attention among guards as he deserves? I mean, his numbers are right there on par, scoring 17.2 a game and 49% from the field. He's right there on par with Dylan Hunter out of Rutgers. He's right there on par with Mark Sears at Alabama, and those guys get a lot of love. Why do you think it is that Chase isn't getting the attention? And in your mind, does he like it that way? Does he like sort of flying under the radar?
I think he kind of embraces the quiet mindset, but at the same time, it's the balance, trying to have that chip on your shoulder to kind of prove those people wrong, prove the notoriety wrong. And I also think there's a fact of it kind of just being Clemson. Historically, Clemson hasn't been a basketball powerhouse compared to maybe Rutgers, Duke, North Carolina. But the good thing for Chase Hunter and Clemson coming up after tonight's game against Georgia Tech, they'll face Duke, and it'll be a number 2 match of that Little John Coliseum. They'll play North Carolina on next Monday. And then the March Madness tournament, if Chase Hunter can repeat that success what he had last season and do it again for Clemson and for this season's tournament, it can bode well for him, his NBA draft stock, and for the Clemson program as a whole.
You mentioned the game tonight, Derrian, against Georgia Tech. We'll get into that. I have a couple of other Clemson basketball questions for you. But a little bit of a format breaker here midway through the interview. Diesel and I later in the show at 5:20, I believe, are doing probably the most important segment in sports radio history, as we are answering the call of our audience yesterday. They asked us to formulate a 16-team bracket, if you will, of the GOAT Super Bowl dish candidates. So, sides, appetizers, cocktail weenies, whatever it may be. In your mind, if you were going to, and you may be going to a Super Bowl party on Sunday night, what is the non-negotiable? What's the one thing that Derrian Carter of the Greenville News has to have at his Super Bowl party?
For me, being from New Orleans, it has to be red beans present for me, red beans and rice. My grandmother and my mom, they do a great job of that. So I need to learn their recipe, but if I were to attend a party, I would definitely bring that.
That's a good one.
Good choice.
That's a real good. And you know what, Diesel? I don't know if any of our Tolos would have suggested.
He'll be the only one.
That's a good one to write.
But it's a staple. It's a staple of New Orleans cuisine. You're right there. Derrian Carter from the Greenville News joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Derrian, I know you weren't in the area 6, 7, 8 years ago when Dabo Swinney was really getting established at Clemson, but he was excellent at playing the disrespect card early in his tenure. I'm sure you probably even saw it on TV back then. How is Brad Brownell also using the disrespect card to his advantage with his team? Do you believe that he is?
I think internally, if there is kind of that disrespect with the way Clemson has kind of been treated across the country, but I just think that after the success of last year, the Elite Eight run, he's kind of building that momentum. Little John Coliseum is getting renovations because it's kind of like everything's kind of coming together to landing some premier recruits in the high school portal and then high school recruiting and in the transfer portal. So I think it's kind of a quiet confidence for Coach Brad in his tenure right now.
Derrian, what do you make of, since you follow a team and cover a team in the ACC, what do you make of North Carolina? Yesterday, Diesel and I had a debate about North Carolina and ripping the blue blood tag off. I don't know if it's gotten that low yet at North Carolina, but for someone who covers the ACC on a night in and night out basis, North Carolina is not used to being in this spot. And again, I know ultimately they may always still be looked at as a blue blood, but your reaction to what you've seen, I said this yesterday, I think this outlines it pretty well. If they miss the tournament, it'll be 2 out of the last 4 that Hubert Davis has missed the tournament.
Yeah, it's been tough for UNC. They did lose Armando Bacot and some of those key players for their team that's been a staple for them over the past few years. But I don't. It's interesting. I wouldn't count out North Carolina yet. They still have a chance, I believe, in the latest bracketology for Joe Lunardi. They're one of the next 4 out, but they can always change their fortune around with some quality wins down the stretch to propel themselves back into the tournament.
Derrian Carter of the Greenville News. Derrian, now I know that the Greenville News has undergone some changes, especially in its building downtown Greenville, but you're still located down there. What is your number one walkable go-to restaurant if you need to step out and grab something to eat downtown Greenville in the middle of your day?
Great question. I haven't been in the office much. Sometimes I work from home. I'm a picky eater, so it's got to be Chick-fil-A or McDonald's for me. I like to stay with the classic fast food restaurants.
Hard to go wrong with Chick-fil-A.
How do you make red beans and rice into Chick-fil-A? Now that's the question. That's the one thing we got to figure out.
I don't know if I could do that.
Not that he's a good writer. It's interesting. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, Derrian. For guys like Diesel and I who do radio for a living, you obviously do most of your talking through words, right? And I have friends of mine who are also writers. Do you find it challenging for when you talk to other people who are getting into writing? You mentioned you went to a broadcast journalism school. Do you find it challenging for someone to get into writing just cold turkey? Like, I say it all the time. I told Diesel, I wish I could be as good as a writer as you guys. When I say you guys, I mean the ones that write on a daily basis. Is that something that you had to pick up on and really learn and hone in? Or is that something that just comes naturally when you talk about being a really good writer?
It's definitely a balance of both. For me, I was always like in elementary school. I always remember in second grade, I was in an American Writer. It was like a parody of American Idol. And like our teacher would give us a different topic to write about on a blank sheet of paper and everything. And I finished in 4th or 5th, but just that kind of propelled me into like my love for writing. So I think for me, it's a mix of both. Sometimes I stare at my computer screen thinking, what will I write? And then sometimes if there's sometimes like when I'm watching the game, something bigger happens, like boom, that's my story. So kind of a mix of that.
Derrian, can you give me, 1 or 2 sort of sports books? Because there's so many of them out there that you would say was really instrumental on you to make you even want to get into the business of sports journalism.
That's a great question. I remember. I need to get back with you on that.
That's all right.
Put you on the spot.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to remember stuff like that right off the top of your head.
What about your favorite article that you've done, like on the Clemson beat thus far? You said, what, a year, just over a year? What's your favorite article you've done so far on the beat?
It would have to be the article that I did for the CFP first round when Clemson faced Texas. It was a story about how Kay Klubnik, even despite Clemson losing, he performed well in that game and kind of showed that entering the next season, he could be that starting caliber quarterback for them that could lead them potentially back into the CFP in the national championship.
Derrian Carter, the Greenville News. We appreciate you coming on with us for the first time, Derrian. Great stuff, and we will continue to pump your work up. We appreciate your time, and best of luck covering Clemson basketball the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Clemson, by the way, in action tonight. We talked about this yesterday. I know it doesn't seem like Clemson, Georgia Tech would be a big one, but doesn't it seem like right now every game for them is a big one because they need to get in? It need to be in the top 25.
It feels like a game that they have to win big. You know, it feels like they need to win by 15 or 20 in this game. And that's not fair. It's an unfair standard to put on teams. Winning isn't good enough by itself. And we learned that talking to Bob Ritchie a year ago or so on the station. He's saying, man, nowadays you got to be able to game the system. You have to be able to beat teams by 20 or 30 to show the net rankings that you deserve to be there. And Clemson at this point in the season, I know there are different stories, one being a mid-major, one versus being a major, but Clemson kind of finds themselves in that position on the outside looking in. What is that thing they need to do to push them over the hump? Because I feel like once Clemson gets into the top 25, then it starts to snowball. And now you're a top 25 team that's beating teams by 15 or 20 points. And there's this extra little added benefit of the doubt that they're not getting right now, sitting just outside, sitting at around 26, 27.
They play Georgia Tech on the 14th of January in Atlanta. Tonight's game is at Little John at 9 p.m. Late game. But on January 14th, rather, Clemson beat Georgia Tech 70-59. So the Tigers were able to handle their business, went on the next week in overtime and beat Pitt. And then since then, Diesel have had wins against Syracuse, VT, and NC State. What's challenging is if they win tonight, let's say by 8 or 9 points, right? 8 to 10 points tonight. My issue is, what if they go on Saturday and lose to Duke? Because those rankings coming out on Monday, how are they going to view Clemson? Well, they beat Georgia Tech, Diesel, an unranked team, but then when they played a ranked team, the number 2 team in the country, they couldn't win. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I am. I don't have faith that next week, if they lose to Duke, even if they win tonight, I don't have faith that they'll be in the top 25 next Monday.
No, and it feels like at this point, Clemson winning a game by 5, as far as the committee is concerned and as far as the AP voters are concerned, a 5-point win is tantamount to a loss.
I know.
It kind of means nothing to them. So
need to win big night, and somehow, some way, if they can what a statement that would be on Saturday. And we'll talk about it later in the week, but a big one at Little John on Saturday. Tolos tomorrow if you are participating in the bracket challenge for the best Super Bowl main dishes. What am I missing? Apps, sides, Diesel?
Desserts. Yeah.
We'll have, the first 2 rounds of elimination tomorrow. It's going to be sad. I don't know if I'm ready for that because there's going to be some good.
So what we're ultimately doing, Cole,
man.
is putting together the absolute best 4-course Super Bowl dinner.
Yeah, it's true. You have your best app, best main meal, best side, and best dessert. I get it. But you know what? Fat people like me, I can't just have 4. Are you kidding me? Just 4? All right, Diesel, let's do a little slow time of year segment as the Tolos are participated or are asked to participate as well in this fun game. We call it the Facebook Marketplace Guess the Price.
Oh,
Diesel, you will be guessing the price.
Okay.
Tolos will also be guessing the price. And Tolos, if you have a category that I need to start investigating to give a certain product to Diesel, let me know as well. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Because you're a Jeep guy, that's where we're starting.
Okay.
How about that?
Jeep. Okay.
Jeep guy Diesel. He is a Jeep connoisseur if you didn't know it. So we're going to go to Facebook Marketplace. We're guessing the price Diesel is, and then we'll see how many tries it takes him to get right here. And you know what? I hadn't thought about this, but if these products are any of you, if they're any of your products, let us know because you never know.
Is my goal here to go Price is Right rules, so as close to as possible without going over?
Yeah, I think that's a good rule.
Okay.
I think that's
close as possible to the retail price without going
over the price, which is going to be difficult.
And if I land it within $100 on either side, Cole has to buy the item for me.
Oh, that's a good rule as well.
Let's look at the diamond ring category.
If you get it wrong, you'll hear. So obviously that means you try again. Or if you get it right, you'll hear a big ding.
Hey.
A ding ding. How about that?
Ding ding. Cole.
1999 Jeep Cherokee. This is a sport SUV.
XJ.
4-door.
4-door.
Green in color.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like all-terrain tires.
Okay.
It also has a luggage rack on top of the Jeep.
So a green 99 4-door XJ Cherokee with the factory luggage rack on it.
Yep.
Fairly decent tires, at least.
They look pretty nice.
Does it appear that it's on a lift?
Yeah, it does a little bit. Not a huge lift.
Okay,
but
not a big
bit.
lift, just a little lift.
It does look listed a little bit.
How many miles does it say? Does it give you that?
No, it should. All right, I've got a little more information. It's 4 great tires, which they look pretty new. 2-wheel drive, runs and drives good.
2-wheel drive. That's
yep. Here's your mileage. 226,000 miles. So
226.
Before you guess, Tolos, again, I have given the product, and you can play along as well.
Okay.
It is a 1999 Jeep Cherokee Sport SUV, 4 doors. It's in Blacksburg, South Carolina, just in case you were needing the location, right? Because that might help.
Okay.
You want to go?
I have a good guess.
Okay.
It's not a Wrangler, so it's not going to be as valuable as a Wrangler. And I have a guess of what I think somebody would sell a mildly built up yet high mileage 99 Wrangler for.
Okay.
But this is an XJ. It's slightly less desirable, unibody construction, not as sturdy as a Wrangler.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that the owner in Blacksburg is selling this Jeep for $6,900. Oh, is that over?
Way
over. Oh,
Way
man.
over.
See, I'm picturing a Jeep that's actually in fairly good shape here.
Diesel, it does, just so you know.
I'm just knowing what Jeep people try to get out of their vehicles.
It looks good.
Like he's asking $6,900, knowing he's really going to get like 42. So I'm going to amend my guess and say $4,200.
What? Yeah.
Still over.
By the way, here's on the stream what it looks like.
Doesn't look bad.
It doesn't. I'm telling you, it doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad.
It actually looks in pretty good condition for now. Again, the mileage
that's high,
226.
That's high, but Jeep people are nuts, right? I mean, these things are getting sought after, right? People love the Cherokees. I owned one. I owned a 96. I owned a 96 XJ that was tan, 4-door, 4-wheel drive. That's the one that I had up to like 260,000 miles.
John Dog guesses 4,500. What was your last guess?
My last guess was 4,200.
I
just thought the guy was going to be asking something crazy for it.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
$3,500.
That's it.
$3,500.
This puppy could be yours.
What do you think? I mean, 35. Would you pay that for a 1999 with 222, something like that?
If he's asking 35, I'd try to get it for 2750. And I'd be willing to come up to maybe 3.
Which doesn't sound bad. I don't know. Well, that amount of miles, man, that's a lot of miles. It's a lot of miles, right?
Yeah, and it's not the engines that were the problem in mid-90s Chrysler products. It was the transmissions. Those were in rough shape. They were just not strong transmissions. Now, if this guy had done a transmission swap, then you're talking about a $45,000 to $5,000 car. True. But it's okay. All right, 3,500. Okay.
So diesel was too high on the first product, which was a 1999 Jeep. All right, the second product I'm throwing at you in this Facebook Marketplace, guess the price. Diesel is guessing, and you Tolos can play along as well in the stream. 119 watching there, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. In lieu of a recent natural disaster, a recent hurricane that hit the upstate, right?
Yep.
I've got a local. This is in, let's see where this is, Taylor's. So right here in the upstate, a 3-year-old used once DeWalt generator. It was stored outside, so it does have a little bit of rust. It comes with a 3-way split cord.
Oh, wow. Free extension cord.
Free extension cord.
Probably came out of it's probably what they used to put lights on their house 4 years ago. So it's a DeWalt brand generator.
Yep.
What's the peak wattage?
Let's see. I have the it's a DX GNR 7000. If that sounds like Tim Allen on Home Improvement right there. Peak wattage listed on the side? Oh,
it's probably the number that's on the side of the generator.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Does it say 7,000 though?
It does, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to assume this is a 7,000 watt peak load generator, DeWalt brand, been stored outside.
Little rust.
A couple years old, little surface rust. I'm going to bet that this guy in Taylor's is listing this DeWalt generator.
And it is, by the way, 7,000 watts. I did confirm.
I'm going to say he's listing this for $350.
I hit the wrong button. Button.
That means Cole has to buy it for me.
That was the correct button.
350? It's too high?
Too high. I didn't mean to hit the rooster crow. I meant to hit the $200.
That's it.
200.
That's it.
Didn't you buy a generator during the storm?
I did. I bought a generator just after the storm, 13,000 watts.
That doesn't sound.
It's got electronic start, automatic choke. This thing is great, man. It's got like 9 plugs on it. Can plug into the house and run the whole dang house.
That's not a bad deal, right?
Not
$200.
Honestly, I mean, you gotta go see if it runs.
You got to test it out.
You got to test it out. You got to know if this thing runs because I mean, this thing's been sitting out. You know, who knows what kind of gunk is in it?
Yeah.
John Dog guessed 650 on the generator.
All right,
that's high. 650. You can get a brand new generator for 650, John Dog.
Yeah.
Not 7,000 watts. Yeah, maybe you might be able to get a 7,000 watt generator for 650.
All right, I'm trying to
Depending on
decide
if you're willing to go off brand.
I am trying to decide between our for our next item here, man. There's some good choices. I'm going to throw one challenging at you.
Okay.
This is located in Greenville, right here in Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
For you boat guys out there, I'm going to go a little. Let's go on the water here. Let's
Not
see.
a boat guy.
I know
clue about
this
boats.
is going to be tough, but it might not be as tough as you think here. Next item for Facebook Marketplace, guess the price. We're going 1994 Pro Sports 1800 FF flat boat. It is a center console style boat, 1994, 18-foot, 2006 Johnson 2-stroke motor on the back. It does come with 4 batteries and 2 people. Oh, no, it fits 2 people. It doesn't come with 2 people.
2 people to help you load it on the trailer.
My daughter, max speed of 40. I will for you and those on the stream without showing you the price. Don't look at my phone. Look at the stream because I'm going to make sure I don't get the price here. I'm going to show you a picture of the boat just so you can kind of visualize.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, so there's the boat. Again,
flat boat,
it's
center
a flat
console.
boat. Yep, 1994. Let me see what other 55-pound thrust Minn Kota trolling motor, or just common trolling motor. Simrad Graph 7-inch. That's your fish finder, your depth finder. Bilge pump works well.
Ready built bass boat.
Sounds not
a bass boat.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like a good shallow offshore redfish, flounder boat, something like that.
And so it's a 99 boat. Did it say it had a newer motor than that?
It's 2006.
2006. So still an older, 20-year-old motor almost, 18 years.
So Tolos, 844-326-3663 on this 1994 Pro Sports 18-foot flat boat. Tolos, what do you think? Diesel, first guest. First guest, by the way. Guest doesn't have a T. The last 2, you went high on both of them.
I'm going to guess because there's a lot in the package here. You got an older boat, slightly newer motor, trolling motor, fish finder,
and just so you know,
trailer.
If you hear a ding, that means you are either on or under.
Okay, I'm going to say $2,500.
You're under.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, you're way too low.
Way too low.
Way too low.
Dewey says 25,000.
No, Dewey, you're way too high. Way too high.
So I'm way low at 2,500.
You are way low.
I was thinking with an older boat, guy might be willing to cut a deal just to get rid of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to double it and say 5,000. Still
low.
Still way low.
Still, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
This guy didn't want 15.
I'll give you one more. 15 would be a big fat 11,000.
Okay.
11,000, which I don't know.
God, $11,000.
11,000 seems a little high. Not a little high,
man.
a lot high. Lot high.
I don't have a clue with boats, man. Boats are hard.
They are. One more for you before we run. This is a Target brand couch. Blue couch from Target, bought back in 2021. Cushions are still firm. The covers just need a good cleaning. Overall, great shape. They are getting something new for the office. This is in Spartanburg. I'm going to show you.
Somebody's old office furniture?
Yep, I'm going to show you. Look at the stream. I'm going to show you a picture of the couch.
Somebody's
so you can
totally
see.
done it on this couch.
Oh, yeah. Little sectional type, right?
Yeah, you can put this, in sectional. So a sectional sofa needs a good cleaning. Wink, wink.
By the way, just listed 7 hours ago. This is a deal right here. What a deal.
I'm going to say $850.
$850?
Yeah.
You are way off. I mean, way off.
Please don't tell me it's like free. You just pick
it's
it up.
a little more than free, but not much more. What does little more than free mean?
$100.
You're close. 80. I'll give you a ding. $80.
Okay. God, that's
so we can.
Somebody's
get
done
this.
something nasty on that couch. There's no way they're
That's
getting
what
rid of
that
it. For
Lysol
$80.
is for, right?
There's not enough Lysol in the world for that.
Can we get the radio station to
Can we
get
put
that
in
in
here?
hallway? I don't know if I want to use couch.
My buddy Raphael is the king of used couches.
I don't know about that.
He for the very first time at like age 35 actually bought a new couch. Up until now, they've all been hand-me-downs or found on the road.
Yeah. I did lie to you. I've got one more. I've got one more for you.
One more. I'll get this right.
One more. This one is, I don't know. This one's tricky. I'm going to give to you a mobile home for sale.
Oh my God.
a mobile home. Here's your picture on the stream.
$80.
No. Mobile home. Here's what we got. 2 beds, 2 baths. Complete that's Spanish. Todo nueve include todos los. I don't speak Spanish. There's a lot of Spanish.
Is there a translate button?
This one's in Malden, so hey, you might be
I
right
might drive
there.
past this one every day.
All right, see translation. Yes. Everything new appliances, new flooring, ceramic bathrooms. You pay $510 of the land and must remain in the parking lot at least 7 years after change of owner.
Oh,
no financing.
You're buying into a land lease.
What in the world?
You're stuck on this land.
I guess so.
Oh man.
But on the inside on this mobile home, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, it is.
I thought everything was new.
It is. Yeah, it's still small, but it's a mobile home.
Okay. This is impossible. Do I have to answer in pesos?
No, you don't. But I will because this is challenging. I will tell you that it is under $100,000.
Oh, thanks.
Yep. So you don't have to go over. You don't have to go over 100,000.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess 50.
50,000?
50K.
58.
Wow.
That was your best one.
That was close.
That was your best one yet.
I was within 10%.
So we may have to revisit this as a sports season gets.
We should do this with if we can find sports memorabilia.
Oh yeah,
for sale on Facebook Marketplace.
And it's the final hour. The show's almost over, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 texts. We'll have to try it again in the 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock hour to see if we get some more interaction on it a little bit later. But Diesel is now a Facebook Marketplace expert.
Savvy, I got this. When we come back, Cole, a lot of people are probably understandably nervous about flying. The question is, does this captain's speech make you feel better, or is it still making you feel pretty nervous in the seat? That's coming up next on the Fan Up State. Cole, understandably, people these days are a little nervous about flying. We hadn't had an air disaster in America in many years. And now all of a sudden, Cole, we had 2 in a very short period of time.
Yeah, we did.
So the question for you, Cole, is would a captain coming on the PA inside the plane to make an announcement before the flight like this make you feel nice and cozy about it, or would you still feel a little bit nervous? Here is the pilot.
About flying, and that's certainly understandable, but just please know that my first officer and our flight attendants and myself place your safety and the responsibility of carrying you to your families, your vacations, your meetings at the highest level. I have no higher calling than carefully and professionally transporting you today. So with that, relax and enjoy the beautiful evening that we get to fly in. We'll be underway shortly. Welcome aboard.
Make me more nervous, because I'll be honest with you, if I were to go get on a flight right now, I'd be okay. But hearing that, it's like, yeah, I wasn't thinking about it until you said that, dude.
Like, I know we crashed a lot recently.
Yeah, but
I promise you, I'm going to get you there safe. And I understand that, talking to Dan B, who's a pilot, I don't love flying all that much. Like, to me, just like a little bit of turbulence makes me go, oh crap, what's going on here? Yeah. I don't like this, but get me back on the ground. But Dan says planes don't go down because of turbulence. They just don't.
Well, that's true.
They just don't. But there's always the human error. There's always the possibility that 2 planes are not supposed to be in the same area, and they are, which is what happened in Washington, D.C. over the Potomac.
Yeah, and a helicopter.
And a helicopter, a military helicopter and a civilian aircraft were in the same airspace.
I love flying. I really do. I wish I could do it more, obviously, with this job. We don't get to go anywhere. We're stuck in these chairs every day, but which is great because we love it. But I think that I would have flown the next day without any hesitation or reservation. But when you hear that, it's like, all right, dude. All right, that's enough. And then he keeps on and on. All right, hey, we get it. And then he keeps on and on. Now, I'll tell you the funniest story that I ever had on a plane, I may have already told you this, was we were on the way to Vegas, and the captain, you got a plane full on the way to Vegas, right? And the captain, DB, you'll like this. The captain gets on the speaker for the announcements and everything, and we're all headed to Vegas, leaving, I think, out of Dallas. And he says, your flight to Japan will be leaving shortly. And everybody flipped.
What?
Everybody flipped. I mean, Japan. I mean, it was the craziest, everybody. And then he starts laughing. And he has to, quickly say, I'm kidding. It was great. It did get me for like a split second. I thought, wait a minute, whoa. Did I pull a Kevin from Home Alone? But it sucks. I wonder if there was and maybe this is research we'll have to do. I wonder if there was a uptick, or I guess a downtick in flights within bookings. Yeah, within the last week. I mean, that's scary for a lot of people.
Never had a situation like that on a plane. However, on our flight into New Mexico, last time we flew out there early last spring, we were supposed to fly into Santa Fe. There was a ground instrument problem that wasn't reporting back to the pilot properly. He came over the PA and said, I can see the landing strip. It's right out there in the distance. It's like 150 miles away, which when you're on a plane, you're there in no time. 150 miles is nothing.
Sure.
And he says, I could totally land this plane there, but legally I can't because, well, the law says I can't. So we're going to have to divert to Albuquerque. We touch down in Albuquerque. They come over the PA. Of course, everybody's already stood up because they want off that plane immediately. They're mad because they're trying to figure out how they're going to get to Santa Fe where they need to go.
Yeah.
And then the pilot says, because it's midnight, we can't find gate space. So you might be sitting on this plane for another hour and a half.
No good.
And people are like, what? Hour and a half was the flight time from Dallas to Santa Fe.
That is
so they're
tough.
going to make you sit on the airplane, stuffy, when you can look out the window and see the dang airport. It's right there, but they made us sit on the plane for another. Now, granted, we eventually got off the plane quicker than an hour and a half, but people were not happy about it.
Tolos, we will see you tomorrow live at Ingles.